transmitter because all of them in the building. K-Rock, CFCW, the Breeze, all 4 are down. So hopefully they'll figure it out. We'll see where that goes from there. But if you're having some issues, you might want to check out YouTube or other places. Hopefully you'll get us there. We welcome in Sean Brown to the show. Brownie, how you doing?
Good. It seems like everything's kind of thawing out, right? Creating a lot of problems for everyone out there.
That's a little slick, little slick outside right now. But have you watched? Are you an Olympic guy? Do you watch a lot of the Olympics?
Yeah, I you know what? Of course I watch it. Just I'm not sitting there a diehard, just couch rotting and watching every event and sitting there for hours or anything like that. But I definitely, when I have time, I put it on there. I just think it's a cool opportunity to watch some non-traditional sports that you don't normally watch, right? I'm normally just a hockey, sometimes baseball, a little bit of football, but it is nice watching, whether it's downhill or freestyle skiing or cross-country skiing. Reminds me a little bit of being over in Europe. Obviously, Europeans are a little bit more accustomed to some of those sports. And a lot of the times when you're sitting around in the locker room area, a lot of guys are watching or continue watching those sports, and Europeans kind of get behind them a little bit more. So yeah, it's great anytime. And it's just, it's a good time now with the way things are going in the world, just to kind of get behind your country and support the athletes because they put in such time.
Yeah, no, it's a big commitment for sure. I watched the skiathlon event and I was blown away, but like it was a 10K race. And I got to get the lady's name from Sweden, but she won by over 50 seconds. And this is the best in the world, and you're that much better than everyone else. Like Frida Karlsson. And that was, to me, one of the most impressive performances I've seen. Like, in a longer distance, yeah, you have a little bit more chance. In a 100-meter, you're not going to beat someone by that much, right? But if you add it all up over the amount of time, like that was one of the more dominant performances I've seen. Like it wasn't even close. And then you're watching, because now I've gotten into cross-country skiing the last few years.
Yeah, me too.
I'm not good at it, but it is freaking hard.
Yeah,
it's one of the best workouts you can do.
Yeah.
And I got a track that we do out by St. Albert. It's about 6-7K. Right now, if I wanted to do more, I just do another loop. But I'm like, it's like a good stretch of 30-minute plus.
Yeah.
And there's some hills down and up. And obviously the first time I did it downhill, wiped out. But going uphill is hard, but not crazy hard. But you just got to get the motion and learn how to move your body and your hips and everything like that. But watching them and just seeing how fast they go up hills and attack it, I'm just like, this is ridiculous how good a shape they're in.
It's funny that you say that because I feel the same way. In the last month here, I've went a total of 5 times because I work out at Millennium, and with our membership also comes access to the Strathcona Wilderness Center, where they have a track out there and you can rent the skis. I mean, it's the best value. I think it's $25 or so to rent the skis, use the facility for 3 hours. And like you said, I mean, watching these pros, any pro do their sport, they make it look easy. And I really have a real appreciation for the amount of distance that I'm able to cover and the amount of effort that it takes. It's just completely exhausting. So, I'm always watching and trying to learn. And I was watching, the Olympians, what is their strategy? What's their coordination look like? Is there, I don't know if you noticed it, but their feet kind of come out at the back. And I don't know if that lets them it obviously gives them some leverage somehow, especially, going up small hills is very difficult. Right. And, after a while, just using the poles and using your arms, your shoulders are just burning. So yeah, there's a real appreciation watching those guys get around and how easy they make it look. I haven't got to the point, I don't know where you're at, but I'm a renter right now. It's something that I would like to do and maybe make the investment. But do you rent or you got your own stuff?
I purchased my own.
Okay.
Yeah. And you go and, learn how to wax them a little bit, but I don't go enough to have to go crazy in the wax. But
yeah,
got boots that fit comfortably. And I will say, like, the boots are unbelievably comfortable, like way better than ski boots, like downhill ski boots.
Well, there's more movement, right?
Oh, way more movement.
Yeah.
And so, it wasn't where my wife was really into it. She's like, I got to get into it. I'm like, all right. So we get into it. And we didn't go as much this year, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But in the past few years, I really got into it. And actually I told her, I was like, I miss going. Like, we go. And like when we went to Canmore, we went there. And that was like, that was next level. I was just like, okay, I really got it. My little hill in St. Albert ain't the same.
So is it all groomed where you go?
Yes.
Yeah, they take care of the company takes care of it.
Yeah.
Same for me.
Yeah. No, I'm not dude. I have now, when we were at the farm, my mom cross-country skied, and she would, like, we'd drive a skidoo track once, and then she would make her own path, but she still had to make their own individual path. Yeah, I was on a skidoo tread, but that's a little bit harder once you got it done. But yeah, I'm not, who's ever breaking the path, I've never done that. I can only imagine it ain't easy.
It's funny when you do something that you have no clue and you're not very good at, it really gives you the appreciation. Obviously, because I played hockey, I'll go out on different practices around different people, and you're demoing the drill, and most people are kind of like, oh wow, they're kind of amazed at your edge work and your ability to skate. And this, and I've seen others that are out there trying to learn how to skate, and the energy that it's taking from them, and the awkwardness. And it's just, when I was out doing my thing, it just reminded me of being one of those guys, right? Like being very wide. No power, awkward, and I'm just, watching, when I go in the afternoon, it seems like it's a lot of the older people, right, that are retired and, keeping themselves busy and fit. And I'm thinking, okay, you know what, I got to be able to at least keep up with these people. But it's amazing, like, how these older people that are, efficient and very good at what they do, I'm not keeping up to them at all. So, for me to do something for 20 minutes, cross-country skiing, that's like, I see the same people ripping around. They must lap me and do the whole thing by the time I've done maybe one track. So a 20-minute cross-country ski is literally probably 2 hours of work. Like, I'm dripping sweat. I got to take my toque off. And,
dude.
Yeah.
Now, there's lots of times where you're cold to start, and then once you get warmed up, you're like, oh my God, now I'm sweating. Try to shred some layers here, but it's a great workout, and that's why I was thoroughly impressed. Those are the type of the events I'm just like, God, like, they are rolling, right? And obviously, biathlon's different. People, we've got some people on the who've emailed in asking what's the difference. Well, biathlon is cross country skiing, but then you have to stop and shoot. Skiathlon is just basically cross country skiing. It's uphill. It's a little bit of racing, and it's a good workout. So I look forward to that. Obviously, the ski cross, snowboard cross, aerials, all those type of, we saw big air over the weekend. I love watching that stuff. I'd never do it, but I love doing it. And I like the insight you get from, they talk, because you're watching, like, are these guys not scared? They're like, no, you still got a little fear. You just push through it. Just no different than, what I think players are always probably a little fearful to block a 100-mile-an-hour slop shot, but you just go do it after a while. You're just like, I'm not going to like this, but here I go. Right. And that's the difference. If you want to get in the shooting lane, or Martin Marincin it and pretend you're in the shooting lane, that's the difference of playing or not.
Well, I think that's like anything. When you've done something from a young age, and you get comfortable at doing it, and you develop a skill, and then all of a sudden, you're watching these professional at the elite level, and you're like, how do they do that? Well, it's just obviously over a period of time, right? So I did see a little tweet there from Cabby was at one of the big jump, and he was kind of behind the scenes going up the elevator, and obviously the camera work doesn't give you the real true appreciation of how big and high and the slope that these guys are coming down, and the speed in which they're doing it. It just gave me an appreciation for, like, yeah, wow, I mean, they're high. I mean, the Olympics, for me, I think they've done, I don't know how you feel, but I think they've done a pretty good job of kind of enhancing, I guess, the experience for the fans that are at home. I really like the drone footage, right, where it kind of follows them down, and you can kind of see them do their skill in from that angle. So that's been a nice way for me to kind of keep me engaged, and shows a different viewpoint. But the downhill skiing, for me, I mean, the majority of us have all skied and can appreciate what what a black diamond actually looks like. But they're ripping down there at the speed that they're ripping down. And I don't know, like, when do they regroom the trail? Is it after 5 skiers, 6 skiers, or do they even do it? But I mean,
I don't think they do it once a race starts. Maybe really? I think maybe they do it at different times. That's a good question.
Well, there's got to be a benefit then to going first.
Oh, you mean on those time? Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
because when you're
Yes.
going through there, and
Yeah.
it's, I mean, you know what it's like to skate on ice that's been rutted up. We
Yeah.
all know the coaches that do a pattern drill and don't move the pylon. Next thing you know, feel like you're skating on a gravel road. But to be going down a downhill in skis and watching the chatter in their legs are like little pistons going up and down. That can't be a good feeling, and obviously for what Lindsey Vonn there. I don't know if that had anything to do with it or the fact she kind of looked like she clipped her shoulder on the flag there. But
Oh yeah, no, she clipped her hand, man. That
was that her hand?
Yeah, you're watching a replay, and I couldn't believe how many people were suggesting, oh, you know what, she was selfish and she shouldn't have competed. I'm like, why? She made him. Her hand hit the pole. She didn't wipe out because of her knee, and she got hurt 9 days ago. Right, like this whole thing of, well, they should have given someone else another opportunity. They didn't earn it. She earned the right
to make the decision.
To make the decision. She earned that right. Like that to me was the epitome of what's wrong in our society now. It's like, don't push through and be determined or anything, or go outside your comfort zone. God forbid you do that. You should just back off and let someone else who didn't get the chance, because you had a chance a few years ago. Yeah, she earned the chance all the time. She was winning on circuits. She was good enough. Unfortunately, she just went for it and got a little too tight on that one turn, hit the gate and went flying, broke her leg. And her ACL isn't the reason her hand hit the gate. Like, don't confuse the two, right? Like, had she finished that run, it would have been unbelievable. But the fact that she had the mental toughness to tell herself, I'm going down this mountain at like whatever it is, 80 kilometers. Like, it is freak show, man. Like, It's so funny when I was watching this Winter Olympics. So you're seeing people here, they're going down a mountain at Mach whatever, right? You've got them, skiing up and downhill on cross-country skis. You got, skates that are 1.5 feet long, blades all over. They're battling and competing there. And you compare it to like the Summer Olympics where it's like, okay, let's see who can run the fastest on a straight, even, it's more kamikaze, the Winter Olympics, in a lot of events. Like, not even close. Like, the most kamikaze event in the summer is gymnastics, right? Like, when you're on the even like those bars, you're on the on the balance bar and the high bars and everything like that. Like, you're flipping quadruple flips. That's up. But you're also not on big air where you're 50 feet in the air doing it, right? Like, you're doing it off a bar, and if you miss, you're going to fall. But the fall isn't nearly as high as you are when you're in ski or snowboarding. Not even close. So it's just funny though when I watch it, like, the Winter Olympics is infinitely more kamikaze than the Summer Olympics. It's not even close.
Yeah, I never thought of it that way. And I think you're absolutely right, because I mean, any downhill skier, you lose an edge and you could die. You could break your neck. Like, there's not a lot of, if any, there's no padding in that skin suit that they have, and they're recklessly out of control. Yeah. And then you talk about some of the freestyle, I don't know how hard they are, but anytime you're flipping around, there's always a chance that you could land on your back or land awkwardly on your spine. But yeah, it's these athletes, it's the amount of time that they put into to give themselves an opportunity just to get to the Olympics, right? It's just back when I was training, I was lucky enough to be around a lot of different athletes, and and watching the amateur athletes and the passion and what they do, and their day compared to my day was completely different. Like, they're pretty much putting in the same work, if not more, and then they got to go work a job, right? And sometimes they're doing 2-a-days and stuff like that, so it kind of goes unnoticed and sometimes unappreciated for what they do. And I think any professional athlete, at the end of the day, Lindsey Vonn probably made that decision, obviously because she's earned it, she's deserved it. I can't see an athlete putting her country or putting herself in a situation where she didn't feel like I don't think you could go into an event like that mentally if you didn't feel 100%. You would hurt yourself.
Oh, you have to. But just her mental toughness to convince yourself to go down the hill with a ruptured ACL, that, like, I would love to see, because you're still fear, but you push through it. And how you convince yourself, I'm doing this, right? Because it's like, that is different than playing a hockey game with a separated shoulder. It's not even close. Separated shoulder is just going to be the pain. Can I make a play? Can I handle the contact? That's what it is, right? Like, you're not, the odds of, having a major wipeout in hockey compared to skiing aren't the same, right? Like you got a bum shoulder. Like your bum shoulder is going to lead you to breaking your leg.
Yeah, but I think that if it, your shoulder for sure, I'll agree with you on that. But if you have an MCL or anything wrong with your legs,
Yeah.
and you're on blades and you're skating,
Yeah.
somebody's body, like you are chasing down pucks, guys are
Yeah.
pressuring you, right? You do have your back turned. You are putting your safety sometimes in other guys' hands. So there is, I wouldn't be as fearful playing a game with my shoulder as much as I'd be a little bit more fearful if I had a knee injury or an ankle injury.
Yeah, no, that's fair. Coming up on the program today, Kevin Woodley is going to join us here in a second. He's going to give us a rundown of the goaltending matchups. Who might be the best goalie for Canada? That's a big question. Ben Steiner will be by talking Olympics, Cam Tate, Farhan Lalji, Spec, Jason Smith, and more on the Gregor Show presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
Sometimes you think about what you're going to do in the day. Go to work, pick up the kids from school, make supper. But at GS Construction, we think a little differently. Winter is our season to think, to plan, and to improve. We study, we innovate, we train. So when the thaw comes, we're ready to dig, build, and deliver even better, which means we need people like you. If you're thinking about joining the team at GS Construction, now's the time to do it. To apply and to see how we think, visit gsconstruction.ca.
Hello. You're never going to believe this. Booster Juice called your name today. You can get a free smoothie or acai bowl.
No way. I'm heading there now.
Oh my gosh, you and my brother have the same name. Okay, I'm calling him next. I'm hanging up.
Booster Juice Names of the Day is back. 2 names are selected each day, and if your name matches, you can get a free smoothie or an acai bowl. Watch for your name on the Booster Rewards app and social media. Must be an app member to qualify. Booster Juice. Canadian born, blending since 1999.
You've got a go-to coffee spot, a trusted barber, even a lucky game day jersey. But when it's about looking your absolute best, there's only one name you need. Mr. Dirk. Family run since 1939, we're experts in crafting impeccable tailor-made suits and offering a wide variety of everyday styles. Pair that with personalized one-on-one fittings and the convenience of on-site tailoring. Mr. Dirk elevates your style game. Visit our Edmonton store or explore MrDirk.com. Score big on style with Mr. Dirk.
60 years ago, we started selling trucks as Western GMC Buick. Today, we are Wolf GMC Buick. We're still located on the corner of 184th Street and Stony Plain Road with the same ownership for over 2 decades. Our customers have trusted our family-owned, community-driven business, and for that, we are thankful. If you're looking for a truck or SUV, pop in and one of our seasoned professionals will get you a great deal, hassle-free. Come trust our team at Wolf GMC Buick. Wolf GMC Buick. We're making it easy.
Actions speak louder than words. Japa Machinery Group puts your construction plan into action with XCMG construction machinery you need. Available for rental or sale. Learn more at japamachinery.com.
Hey, Edmonton, did you know a local Play Alberta winner scored over $500,000 on Mega Jackpots Ocean Bells? Think about the season tickets you could lock down with that kind of cash. From major casino winners every hour to jackpots worth millions and hundreds of popular games to money that stays in the province, there's never been a better time to sign up for Play Alberta. Download the app today to get started with casino, sports, and lottery all in one app. Must be 18 plus to play. When you gamble, use your game sense. Welcome to Silent Ice Center, the region's newest hockey and event center in Nisku. Featuring 2 NHL-size ice surfaces, premium seating, private suites, and an electric atmosphere. From elite hockey to major tournaments, concerts, and special events, this is where the action lives. And with Summit Restaurant overlooking the rink, every event is a full experience. Silent Ice Center, built for champions, built for the community. Book your ice, your event, or your next big night at Silent Ice Center. Email booking at silenticecenter.com.
Looking for the perfect gift? Give the gift of great taste with a Loca Quality Market gift card. Redeemable at any Loca Quality Market or Loca operated restaurant. It's a treat for food lovers. Ready anytime. Grab yours today at loca.ca.
Invest for today and tomorrow. Vision Credit Union makes it simple with 2 RRSP options to fit your goals. Choose a secure term deposit RRSP with guaranteed returns or a mutual fund RRSP offering higher growth potential with exciting opportunities. With an RRSP, you'll save on your income tax, grow your investments tax-free, and get closer to your dreams, whether it's retirement or your first home. The deadline to qualify for 2025 tax deductions is March 2nd. Learn more at visioncu.ca.
A claims program for harmed Canadians has begun as a result of a landmark tobacco settlement. If you smoked regularly before November 20th, 1998, and were diagnosed with lung cancer, throat cancer, emphysema, or COPD, you may qualify for a significant payment. To learn more, call 888-482-5852 or go to tobaccoclaimscanada.ca.
Oh, I got a live one here.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Crystal Glass, your clear choice for residential windows, locally manufactured and installed. Crystal Glass provides a beautiful product and incredible customer services for all of your residential needs. Call 310 Glass or visit crystalglass.ca for a quote.
The Jason Gregor Show, the best of Edmonton sports talk and beyond. This is Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
224, welcome back. Congratulations if you missed it. Megan Oldham winning a bronze medal today in the women's free ski slope style. So that is the second medal for Canada at the games. Valerie Malte won a bronze in the women's 3,000 meter. So I think there's so far there's 18 countries who have won a medal. Italy has the most medals with 9, and the most gold, Norway and Switzerland each with 3, which is interesting because I know when they do the medal count, they have whoever has the most golds as like the number 1. And I'm like, yeah, and I get that to a point, but I'm also like, but if you have, way more medals, like 10 or 12 more medals, and you have 1 less gold, I still think the country with the most medals is better for me. Like you got 12 golds to 11 golds, but then you got way more silvers and bronze. Collectively, like if it's a 3-2-1 system, you're winning.
Yeah.
So I know they always list them as the most golds, and that's fine. But if you look at it, Italy leads so far with 9 medals. Japan has 7. Norway and Switzerland, or Norway 6, Switzerland 5. Germany, Austria have 4. And then there's lots of countries with 2: USA, Czechia, France, Netherlands, Sweden, China, Korea, and Canada. And then New Zealand, Poland, Slovenia, and Bulgaria, each with a medal so far. And Canada's obviously, hey, we're right and get at the top of the podium. Hope it happens sooner than later. Let's get to our big guest of the day, brought to you by the Summit Restaurant, located in the heart of Silent Ice Center, just minutes on the south of Edmonton and South Edmonton Common. Summit's your destination for exceptional house-made pizza, delicious entrees, and expertly crafted cocktails. Great place to sit and watch when your kids are playing, or more importantly, when they're practicing, because let's be honest, parents, practice isn't the most riveting time of your life. So you're sitting there, it's warm. You can watch some of the Olympics and keep an eye on practice if you even watch practice. As we are joined by Kevin Woodley from In Goal Magazine and NHL.com. Woodley, good afternoon, man. How you doing?
I'm good. I'm really good because Seahawks won the Super Bowl. So happy Woodley today.
Hey, buddy, that was, well, not just one. They dominated that game. No surprise. I thought they were going to dominate. A lot of people had them dominating. And so, yes. Where did you watch it? Did you have like a special meal plan at the Woodley household? I see you're wearing your hat today. So
that's right. That's my beer league team. Like when you're from Vancouver and you've got a beer league team that's named the Hawks for years, and then the rivalry between the Canucks and Blackhawks happens, you have to switch gears fast. So we got the Seahawks logo with little Jofa on top there. We have a little fun with it. Number of season ticket holders on the team. Unfortunately, because the Olympics start in a few days, from a men's hockey perspective, I've been basically buried in this office charting goals against all the goalies that will play in the Olympics. So I basically live in the dungeon here, doing my homework ahead of the first game on Wednesday.
Nice. Well, let's get into that. So, Canada, there's lots of questions. Jonathan Binnington. Are they going to go with Darcy Kemper, guys who have won? Well, actually, all 3 have won, although Thompson wasn't the starting goalie when he won with Vegas. But the style that Canada played at Four Nations Kevin, I'm not sure it's going to be that much different with John Cooper as the head coach again. So is there anything you've seen that you look and say, I actually think this goalie for Canada is the best one to play based on the system I think they're going to play?
It's tough. Like, listen, they're not going to give up a ton of chances, right? Like, that's what we're talking about here. And that's pretty much been the MO for Canada every time they go best on best. It's not, we have the best players in the world and we're going to outscore you. We're not going to turn it into an all-star game. It's always been about, we can get the best players in the world offensively to buy into playing great defensive hockey. It was that way in Sochi. Look at the final game. I think, if I remember, top of my head, was like 1-0, like Carey Price versus Henrik Lundqvist, like tight games all around.
No.
So I don't know that it necessarily suits one guy better than the other. It's really hard to look at the numbers this year and not see the massive discrepancies between what Logan Thompson has done and what Darcy Kemper has done and what Jordan Binnington has done. But I will, for those that are really nervous about Binnington likely being the starter, throw a number at you after tracking it. He hasn't given up bad goals, low percentage goals this season. Okay. And so if you're going into this thinking, we just need a goalie who's not going to give up bad ones, like we don't need goaltending to win it for us, we just need it not to lose it. Jordan Binnington, despite falling off a cliff statistically, can still be that guy. He's actually given up fewer low percentage goals this season than Connor Hellebuck, which seems remarkable. Now, smaller sample size, but still, like, that seems remarkable when you look at his raw save percentage, like 870. Like, he's having the worst season of his career.
Yeah.
And yet still, the bad goals haven't been a problem. Now, where I think things get interesting is what he did at Four Nations to earn this was made a bunch of high danger timely saves in overtime.
Yeah.
And I'm here to tell you those haven't been there this season. Like, positioning, getting caught moving, the amount of backdoor tap-ins. When I did his goal chart on the last 100 goals, 24 of them were high glove. And you think, oh, wow, 24 high glove, like that's where you got to shoot. But only a couple of them were clean. Like, it's all the amount of times where he's totally out of the net, they're chipping into a backdoor behind him. The bigger problem was along the ice. On outside weather, his right skate 10, his left skate 14. That's 24 goals where he's not in the net relative to the shot. Like, he is just not keeping up with the pace of play. He's not recovering fast enough on rebounds and second chance opportunities. There are way too many tap-ins, or there have been, when he's in net in St. Louis. Now, tougher environment than what he's going to face in Canada. And so you hope a more stable, predictable environment will allow him to maintain what he's doing on the low danger stuff and hopefully come up with a few more high danger. Beyond that, though, guys, like when I look at sort of quality starts, great and stolen wins, maybe you don't need that. Logan Thompson, 11. 9 great starts, 2 stolen wins. Darcy Kemper's 2 stolen wins, 5 great starts. Binnington doesn't have a stolen win all season. He's only got 4 great starts. His quality start percentage is 40.6. So you are really counting on him turning back the clock and turning back into the guy that was there last year. And all the goals I look at this year, the only spot where that sort of guy is still there is on the low danger stuff. So that's hope, but all the numbers point to the other two.
So you said he has no stolen wins in St. Louis this year, and Thompson has 5 and Kemper has 2?
Thompson has 2, Kemper has 2. Clearsight's really strict on stolen wins, so I tend to combine that with great games and stolen wins. Logan Thompson is 2 stolen wins in 9 great games. Kemper is 2 stolen wins in 5 great games. Binnington is 0 stolen wins in 4 great games. So, but again, maybe you don't need that guy. Maybe you don't need stolen wins in great games out of your goaltending. If you're Canada, you just want steady. It's been a tough season for Jordan Binnington, but between his ability to sort of break up forechecks with the puck handle and not give up bad goals, like that's what you're hanging your hat on if you're Canada choosing him.
Kevin, how much of it is it an adjustment for for a goaltender to get to the bigger ice? And obviously there's got to be different sight lines, but that adjustment has to, be there for them, does it not?
But bigger ice, is it bigger? Like over there, like we're not talking Olympic sheets this year.
It's smaller. It's actually smaller than the NHL ice.
Well, I don't think the neutral zone's smaller, so it's not. It's more about the width of the rink, Sean. To your point, I do think it's the same. There is an adjustment when they've gone in the past and had the wider sheets, dead angle plays, timing with pucks coming off the wall. But I think this is going to be more the status quo. I don't think for goalies. Unless there's something weird with the backdrop and the sight lines that I haven't considered, I don't know that this one is going to be a huge adjustment. Style of play, maybe. And that's where I'm curious. Does this resemble the Four Nations, which was, as much traffic and tips and guys determined going to the net hard? Or do some of the teams revert to a little more pass, and pass some more? Like, do we see this become a bit more, I don't even want to say open, but more of a skill game as opposed to a grind game? And when you look at the number of goals against all goalies, like I was looking through the trends and what everybody, like one of the top sort of scoring chances that go in on everybody is broken plays, like just chaos in front of the net. Do we see more or less of that in these games? I'm not entirely sure. I think it'll probably be similar because of the number of NHL players, but I'm curious to see the first couple to see if we see a shift, maybe not in rank, but in style.
Kevin Woodley from Ingo Magazine, NHL.com. What about the USA between Hellebuck, Swayman, and Ottinger? Do you see, like, most of us assume it's going to be Hellebuck, but is he deserving of it?
Yeah, you know what? Obviously, he hasn't had the season this year that he did last year, but he still is deserving of it. Even coming off the injury this year, there has been a little more inconsistency in his game in terms of, those quality start percentages. The American with sort of the best numbers when it comes to quality start percentages, Jeremy Swayman, positive game percentage, 73.7. That leads them all. Connor Hellebuck down at 69.4. So not a huge gap there. But a lot of quality games out of him, only 3 blown, 3 where he got bailed out, only 1 stolen win, and only 4 great games. So it's been a little more average and steady, but I just think that overall, when you look at his adjusted save percentage, he's still up near the top of the league, despite this recent downturn, still ahead of both Swayman and Ottinger in that category. I'm just not sure, especially because he got them to the final of the Four Nations. I find it hard to believe that you go away from a guy who's coming off his 3rd Vezina, the Hart Trophy, and like I said, getting to the final, and hard to blame him for losing the gold medal game against Canada at the Four Nations.
Other goalies in the tournament, who are you watching to think, hey, this guy could be the one in a one-gamer that could steal the show?
It's probably Dushtal. Although interestingly enough, he's only got 2 stolen wins on the season. But I think when we think of goalies, and I'm certainly not the only one here, a lot of people have pointed to Czechia and pointed to him as a guy who could, steal a game. There's just so many nights where you look at the end and Anaheim's been outshot by a wide margin and they've won a pretty tight game. As much as early in the season, it was wide open, lots of scoring for the Ducks. There's been a lot of nights where it's Lucas Dushtal or bust. And over the past 2 seasons, he's had so many nights like that. So I think he's a guy, he's also got such a patient approach on his edges, plays the game in terms of that patience at a level that only a handful can achieve. And I think that could frustrate. Like, he's a tough guy to pre-scout. Because of that patience, he's a tough guy to break down. And I think he's the kind of guy that could get a team to come out of their game plan if he has early success against them. The kind of guy that at the end of the night, you just throw your hands up in the air and said, we couldn't beat this guy tonight. And so I think he's a popular pick for that. Like Philip Grubauer statistically is having a better season than him on adjusted save percentage, on stolen wins, on great games. Like, Grubauer's been there. But I don't know that he has that same ceiling, that same, rob you blind, leave you looking at the heavens ability. Like, he's more, give him a really steady defensive environment and he's not going to make any mistakes, and he might make a couple he's not supposed to. Dushtal just strikes me as the kind of guy, and looking at his high danger numbers, the kind of guy who can have games where it doesn't matter what kind of quality you generate, he's going to find a way to get a piece of his body behind it.
Kevin Woodley from Ingo Magazine and NHL.com joins. Woodley, looking at when we return, there will be like 10 days between before the trade deadline. Are there any goalies teams should be looking at to acquire before then?
Well, I mean, the big question is, are they going to be available, right? And there are some interesting names that I'm not saying they're available, but you wonder. One of them would be Anthony Stolarz. Like, the Toronto Maple Leafs might have a decision to make here, because he's, I believe, going to require waivers next year. Hildeby's going to require waivers next year. And he's been really good when he's been in the net. And so you've got Woll and Stolarz and Hildeby. And if you make a decision that Hildeby's a cheaper, better option for you moving forward, or that you don't want to risk him becoming the next Brandon Bussey on waivers next season, then do you see them proactively make a move on Anthony Stolarz? Nothing to indicate that they're not happy. Obviously, he hasn't had the season this year that he did last year. He looks, to be honest with you, like he's trying too hard at times. And we've talked before about how that's the last thing you can do as a goalie. It's like golf. You can't just go out there and swing harder. As soon as you add tension to your game, we've seen him widen out his stance and just get a little more locked in and rigid and focused on the puck and not aware of things going on around him than we've seen in past years. And yet the track record in every year up to this year tells me he'd be a worthwhile bet. So if I think it'd be worth a call if you're a team looking for goaltending now and in the future, and he's at a relatively decent ticket. If you think this is just a blip for Anthony Stolarz and he'll revert back to what he's done for the past couple of years, with injury questions included, he's a guy that I would ask the Toronto Maple Leafs, would they consider moving, because they've got to make other decisions around their depth. Similarly, Alex Lyon with the Buffalo Sabres, all he does is come up with win streaks at key moments that get teams into the playoffs. Somehow I doubt the Sabres would risk that, especially with Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen out. And yet, we heard Kekalainen say he wasn't going to go with 3 goalies. They seem to love Colton Ellis long-term, and Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen, when healthy, has kind of risen back into the number 1 status. So depending on UPL's health, I doubt they make that move. But again, is it one that would be worth asking? Ditto Grubauer with the Seattle Kraken. I don't, given their chances of making the playoffs, I would imagine they hold on to him. Matt Murray's given them, when healthy, good minutes as the 3 there, and they're running a 3 goalie rotation. I doubt they'd move him, but given his numbers and how we sort of called this as a likely breakout year for him or bounce back year for him, again, maybe worth a phone call. What about Stu? Actually, what about Stuart Skinner?
Yeah, but why is Pittsburgh trading him? They're in a playoffs. I'm talking teams that actually need a goalie.
No, I mean, but if you're looking for a goalie, or I always thought, sorry, guys, if you're looking,
goalies that are tradable, like Pittsburgh's not trading Stuart Skinner. He's the best goalie right now. Why the hell would they trade him? They're in second place. I'm talking like teams that are looking, who need a goalie. Who should they be looking for? Realistic ones. Like no one's. I don't see Kyle Dubas saying, "Oh, you know what? I'm going to trade Stuart Skinner now." Like that would be absolutely foolish.
Except if you're looking for because they're in the playoffs, you're right. But if you're Kyle Dubas, who's always looked forward, if somebody were, and I don't think anybody's blown him away with offers for Stuart Skinner, Shelovs has been just as good. Miroshov is ready. Like they've got prospects coming. Like as much as he's as good as he's been there, and nobody's sort of pointing that out more than I have. Long term, is Stuart Skinner the guy there? And it's kind of like the Maple Leafs question. Do I think they're going to trade him? No. Would it be worth, given the heater he's on? If you're interested in improving your goaltending, making a call, I think you'd probably have to blow Dubas away, and I'm not sure anybody would do that for Stuart Skinner. But it's a name that's worth looking at, because as good as it's going, I don't know how they view their long-term picture. And there's a number of teams that have to make these types of decisions. Carolina's not going to get rid of Freddie Anderson, but I don't know what his future is there because of both Bussey, who, by the way, is also an unrestricted free agent, I believe, after this season, and the fact that Kochetkov, assuming he comes back healthy, might be the best of the 3.
Yeah, but Bussey's been great. Like he had that unreal start, and he still continues to win games. How's his overall play look? Like, do you look at him and say this is a guy that I think can win multiple series?
I mean, his numbers relative, like the most impressive thing about Brandon Bussey's performance is that he's doing it behind one of the lowest expected save percentages in the league. And we've talked about this before. Like Carolina has this reputation for their defensive play, but they don't give up a ton of quantity, but they do give up quality. And their goalies have, last time I checked, sort of sorted it that way. They had 3 of the 4 worst defensive environments by expected save percentage. And so Bussey's adjusted numbers relative to that environment, they're 3rd in the National Hockey League behind Ilya Sorokin and Devin Cooley. So yeah, absolutely. He's been that good for them. Do I see it as sustainable in the playoffs? Honestly, I'm really curious to see how this goes, because nothing exposes your game, strengths and weaknesses, and I would say extremes, goalies that play to extremes, and there's not very many of them anymore. When you play to extremes in the playoffs, teams will try and target them. And Bussy plays with a level of aggression positionally, also charging out at guys. The routes he takes on crease plays are way more aggressive. He doesn't work back to his post. He comes out and at you and cuts things down and relies on sort of his size and his patience to make those saves, and then relies on his defense to make sure they take care of the rebounds. I wonder, I'm not saying, but I wonder if that book starts to get built, because Tuesday night in Columbus and Thursday night in Carolina, I don't know how big the pre-scout is. When you get into a best-of-7 series, man, teams are going to target it to the extreme. And because he plays to some extremes compared to his peers, he may have a game that's a little more pre-scoutable and a little more breakdownable, if that's a word, come postseason.
Kev, enjoy it. We will talk some games with you next week.
Look forward to it, guys.
There you go. That's Kevin Woodley from In Goal Magazine, NHL.com. So interesting breakdown on the goaltending. If you missed it, Binnington, when it came to stolen wins, 0 this year, 4 great games. Thompson, 2 stolen wins, 9 great games. And Kemper, 2 stolen wins, 5 great games. Said the best part of Binnington's game is he doesn't let bad goals in. Hasn't really allowed bad goals this year in St. Louis. And you know what? If you're a team that doesn't give up a ton of chances, there's probably some value in there. But the fact that his really calling card in the Olympics was he made some huge saves, but he's not making the huge saves this year. So he's not if he can't have that part of his game, how can he help you win? And what's going to be challenging is I'm not sure how many great chances he's going to face in the opening rounds. And that's going to be their challenge, I think, to see. If you're the coach, we'll take a break, but then we'll come back, Brownie, about if you're the coach, what would you do with your 3 goalies? You're going Binnington, or do you at least have to say, I'm going to give 2 guys an equal chance and let them battle it out to see what they do? I don't know if you have enough time to play all 3 goalies. It's just the harsh truth of a short tournament. So we'll get his thoughts on that when we return on the Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
Oodle Noodle Origins.
In 1864, Francis Oodle took over his dying father's business as a leatherman. He was quite proficient, but his heart was never truly in the trade. After his father's death, Oodle met a cocksure young man named Vladimir Nudel, who was a trailblazer in the popular new art of food boxes. They formed a partnership and aimed to ply their trade in the new world. At Ellis Island, Nudel was renamed David Noodle, and henceforth, the franchise has been known as
Oodle Noodle.
You got a go-to coffee spot, a trusted barber, even a lucky game day jersey. But when it's about looking your absolute best, there's only one name you need. Mr. Dirk. Family run since 1939. We're experts in crafting impeccable tailor-made suits and offering a wide variety of everyday styles. Pair that with personalized one-on-one fittings and the convenience of on-site tailoring. Mr. Dirk elevates your style game. Visit our Edmonton store or explore MrDirk.com. Score big on style with Mr. Dirk.
Bringing every project to life requires the right team. By joining the Japa Machinery Group service or sales teams, you can be part of setting a new industry standard. Celebrating a legacy of excellence with Japa. Learn more at japamachinery.com.
Whether you're a craft beer connoisseur or more of a wine aficionado, there's always something new to discover at Sherbrooke Liquor, a unique family-owned independent liquor store. The selection, incredible. The non-alcohol section is also very impressive. Sherbrooke Liquor, expert, knowledgeable staff with a passion for unique finds. More than just a liquor store, we're a community. Alberta's best, the one and only Sherbrooke Liquor. Wine, spirits, and oodles of beer. Visit SherbrookeLiquor.com.
Hi, I'm Colin Livingston, president of Cantork. We've been tightening bolts and redefining our industry for 25 years. Yes, a quarter century, and we're just getting started. Check us out at Cantork.com. Our tools age better than I do.
Remember 2025? That's so last year. But seriously, St. Albert Dodge needs to clear some 2025 models off the lot to make room for new inventory. So they're having a huge clear out of all the remaining new 2025 Jeep Wrangler Saharas. The Sahara package is the best seller, so they have a great selection to choose from and priced from as low as $59.9. I don't have to tell you, these are going to go fast. So get there before they are gone. Just head up the trail and see how easy it is to do business at St. Albert Dodge.
The job isn't done until the last load is hauled, and having a semi-trailer out of commission is not an option. Whether replacing or adding to your convoy, Edmonton Trailer has a huge inventory of new and used semi-trailers, trusted by the gravel, logging, oil field, fluids, and freight industries. Find a trailer right for you online or at one of their 3 locations. For sales, service, parts, rental, and finance, when you're in it for the long haul, Edmonton Trailer.
Do you sit around at work listening to sports radio all day? That's right, my friend. There's no shame in it. It's the good life. And we're not here to snitch. Say, if your company advertised on Sports 1440, you could be the one listening for your company's ad every day. Now you've got an excuse to listen to Sports 1440 all day. It's part of the job. Sounds like someone's getting a promotion. Email Gregor at sports1440.ca and let's get to work for you.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Can Torque. We offer sale, rental, repair, and calibration of hydraulic, pneumatic, and battery-powered torque wrenches, stud tensioners, and flange maintenance equipment. Order today at cantorque.com.
The Jason Gregor Show, the best of Edmonton sports talk and beyond. This is Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
$250. Welcome back. Jason Gregor, Sean Brown, Connor Halley, Sports 1440, sports1440.ca, YouTube, Facebook, X, Instagram. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Hope you had a big weekend. Did you hit any prop bets? Good luck if you did. There's a few wild ones that hit. Konza, you had talked about it. The coffin kick for punts ended up with 2 of them inside the 5. Did you make that one?
I would love to take credit, but that was Declan.
Oh, was
that
it
was
Declan?
Declan, and I know he did.
Okay, well there you go. That was best punter in the league, and he crushed 2. He had 3, I think, from the 6-yard line and in, which is pretty darn impressive. Now one of them bounced, and then I think it landed. I don't know why they didn't fair catch it. That was a terrible decision by the kick return. I think it was at like the 22 or something. He let it bounce, and then they downed it at the 2-yard line. Like that was not a great decision. But hey, Seattle, full marks for that win. They were the best team all year long, and they become the 8th team this century to win 2 Super Bowls. Did you know that? Patriots, of course, the Ravens, and that's 4 who Patriots, Ravens, Chiefs, and Steelers. And then on the other side, there's the Eagles, the Rams, and who am I missing?
Bucks? Giants?
No, this century. Giants didn't win. Oh, yeah, Giants.
Did, yeah.
The Giants too, not the Bucks.
The
Giants
incredible thing, too, Gregor, for the Seahawks, 2 different head coaches, 2 different starting quarterbacks.
Yeah.
To build it up and redo it. And then
11 years apart.
Yeah.
Yep.
It, like all the other ones, there's that connection, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yes.
There's one of the 2, but for them to do it again and not invest a first round pick in a quarterback, it's wild.
Yeah. Well, they did get a first round pick of a quarterback. They just they let other teams ruin him, and then he came there. Like Minnesota, you wonder, like, God, the guy he went 14-3, and they would and that just shows they're like, you know what, we're gonna force our young guy in rather than stick with the veteran. I still believe NFL teams, and hey, I get it because of the contracts, and like honestly, if I was in the NFL, I would look to say, why aren't we renegotiating this? It makes no sense that a guy with no NFL experience, and lots of them by the time they're rookie, like Pat Mahomes is a little bit of a rarity, but lots of these guys aren't winning and dominating in their rookie contracts. They're not, but they're getting paid like they're a dominant starter, right? The NHL used to have that, and then they changed it, right? And now it's like, hey, you come in and, your first 3 years, you're not getting, just because you're a first overall pick, we're not paying you like a top dog, because outside of the very, very, very few, you're not a dominant player.
I think it's just, as a former athlete, just anytime you hear a story of someone that's able to kind of overcome and stick with it, a little bit of adversity, being a high pick, and there's so many, it's just so hard to make it, and you need so much, to go right for you. You also have to put in the work and give a reason for organizations and people to play you in that. But I love hearing stories of guys that, it doesn't work out in your first team, second team, you get traded, you get bounced around, and you stick with it. The perseverance and the ability to stay with it, and then obviously, win a Super Bowl. And I thought he performed, when I watched, especially early, the plays that he was making, it looked like he was under pressure, and some of the throws that he threw, that it was looked like he was just threading the needle early, to kind of feel his game and get some confidence. I'm happy for a guy like that.
What would you do if you're the coach and after listening to Woodley talk about the low danger chances, high danger chances, I don't think you have time to give 3 goalies an equal chance. Let's be honest here. So which other goalie, and are you just going to say, okay, Binnington gets game 1, or would you give someone else game 1? Because it's been a calendar year since Binnington's really done anything.
I think I would give Binnington the first game for sure. It's just not a long enough tournament to be able to get 3 in there. But I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt of the fact that he's played, in the 4 nations and he's won, he's had success, and he deserves it. And it's kind of his to lose. But, I think there would be a lot of conversations. I don't know who the goalie coach is, but I think there'd be a ton of conversations with the goalie coach, the coaching staff in general. I don't know how much practice time they get, how many goalie sessions they get, but you'd have to have your finger on the pulse and really be aware. Lots of conversations with, the player themselves to kind of see where they're at. But 3, I just don't think there's not enough time. Even how many games do you give the guy if he's struggling, before you kind of pull the pin on him is a tough decision. I think John Cooper and his staff in general, just whether it's the line combinations or trying to figure out the goaltending and who they're going to go to, it's tough. I think in a lot of cases, it seems like who you think it's going to be and who it actually is at the end of the day sometimes changes, and oftentimes does. So, I don't know if they can you go wrong, in the situation?
Well, not in the opening rounds, probably not. It's really going to come down to, now, if you decide whoever your starting goalie is for the final, and if by chance he doesn't play well, it's always going to be easy to look at hindsight for sure. But I will say, if you go with Binnington and he's just average in his first few starts, and he's been average for a calendar year, you do open yourself up for significant criticism. I think that's valid. Like if Thompson, who's played well all year, if he plays well in his games and then, is okay in the final, you're like, well, anybody can be okay at the point. If they've been good for a long time, you can have an average game. That's going to happen every now and then. Yeah. But for Binnington, basically, he had one awesome game and really one awesome overtime period. The rest of his tournament was meh.
That's all you need, though. I mean, you just got to be able to play make the save at the right time and have the right game at the right time. I think Kevin made a good point. I mean, it'll be interesting to see the style of hockey that's going to be played, right? Is it going to be a skilled game? Is it going to be a game that, a lot of traffic, a little bit of simplicity to each team's approach as far as just getting pucks to the net, getting bodies to the net? How are the defense going to play? How are they going to handle the pressure? I think, one thing you'd have to look at is, how well the goalies are playing the puck, how comfortable they are with the puck, the decisions that they make, because, I haven't played against or haven't played with, probably the best puck handling goaltender, ever to play the game, Martin Brodeur. I mean, it makes the world of a difference of being able to go back to the puck and have someone handle it. And it's almost like having guy probably had better hands than I did.
What did you make of it? Now, their practice lines had McDavid between Celebrini and Wilson, McKinnon with Suzuki and Marchand, Crosby with Marner and Stone, Horvat with Reinhart and Hegel, and then Jarvis and Bennett, the 2 guys who replaced the injured players. They're the 2 extra. Taves with Makar, Morrissey, Parayko, Harley and Doughty, which made it look like maybe that Theodore and Sanheim might be the 2 extra guys out. McKinnon, McDavid, and Crosby is your 3 centers. Pick whichever line you want. But Celebrini's with McDavid, so that that's 2 of the top 5 scorers in the NHL right now on one line. Then you got McKinnon with Suzuki and Marchand, Crosby with Marner and Stone, and Horvat with Reinhart and Hegel. Reinhart maybe is the one who's fallen down. But Wilson up on the top line with McDavid. He's very similar type of player to Zach Hyman.
I kind of thought Zach Hyman would work his way onto the team just because of the chemistry, right? With these high-end players, the top players in the league aren't easy to play with. And you got instant chemistry with a guy that hunts pucks, can make plays with the puck. And there's just a comfort in their game. And that's not going to be easy for a coach to find. This is a good starting point with the lineup. You probably really can't go wrong with, where he's starting, and depending on how it goes, the adjustments that he's going to make. But just that's one less, having a player like Hyman and the way he came on is just one less decision maybe that as a coach you would have to make, chemistry wise. So I'm interested to see Wilson. To me, obviously, I wouldn't want to play against a player like that with his size, his physicality. I'm more interested to see on how he can play within that style of the Olympics, the reffing, the physicality. Is he able to control himself? How are they going to call it? That's going to be for him and Bennett. That's going to be, where they're just going to have to, find that line, get close to that line, and without going over the line and adding that physicality. So I'm really interested to see how he handles. I would probably have Bennett, because he's had the success in Four Nations and, coming off the MVP in the playoffs there. I'd probably find a way to get him. I like the way he plays.
Yeah. I'm guessing he isn't in for game one because they look and say, we're not going to put two guys that were the subs ahead of guys that were originally on the team.
You think that would play into it?
Well, I'm going to guess.
Yeah,
yes. I think it does. If Binnington's, why else is Binnington getting the first start?
Just don't want,
Right. It's the only way you can do it. Here's not good news. And hopefully this is just precautionary because it's a 5-0 lead for Canada over Czechia. But the best woman player for Canada, Marie-Philippe Poulin, was injured in the first period and is not coming back, is not on the ice to start the second period, and is out for the rest of the game. Now, they are up 5-0, and let's be honest, Canada and U.S. on the women's side, it's gold or broke for both of them. And they're both clearly the big favorites to get there again. So, if she's got even a minor tweak, you're like, I'm pretty sure we can beat Czechia with a 5-goal lead without her. But that is something to watch because I'm telling you, there's not a better big moment player in the women's game than Marie-Philippe Poulin. No question about it. She scores all the massive goals and has for years. So you hope that this is just super precautionary and it's a 5-0 lead. And they're like, Marie, you can sit down and we'll worry about you getting back in when the game matters. But it didn't look great from the highlight. And I was watching again here. Now, she hasn't put any weight on it, but again, that can be precautionary. You're just smart. Say, it doesn't feel good. And then you get off. The doctor does the adjustment here or there, and then we'll see. But we'll get into that for sure. Let's get to the Con Man and the Sports 1440 update brought to you by Legacy Heating and Cooling, where the rates never change. No overtime charges. That's how you build a legacy. LegacyHeating.ca.
The Sports 1440 update.
Ontario's Megan Oldham claimed the bronze medal today in the women's ski slopestyle event at the Winter Games in Italy. The 24-year-old suffered a crash in her second run, but came back with a score of 76.46 in her third run. That gives Canada 2 medals. Both so far are bronze. On the ice right now, third period, the Canadian women's team leading Czechia 5-0. Marie-Philippe Poulin did leave the game, has not returned. The Americans up next on the schedule for Canada tomorrow, just after noon. And in the association tonight, getting going at 5. Hornets take on the Pistons, the Bulls in Broken. Heat meet the Jazz. You got the Bucks and the Magic, Timberwolves, Hawks, Kings in New Orleans, Warriors hosting the Grizz, the Thunder in Los Angeles to take on the Lakers, and the Trailblazers hosting the 76ers. Coming up in hour 2 of the Jason Gregor Show, we'll look around the Olympic Games with Ben Steiner of Sports Illustrated and ask 5 questions. I'm Connor Halley. This has been a Sports 1440 update.
This is Sports 1440, a Stingray radio station broadcasting on Treaty 6 territory.
Download the free iHeartRadio app and listen to CKJR wherever you go.
Noodle, 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 noodle.
Noodle, 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 noodle,
Throw a load down to Oodle Noodle tonight because dine-in is open.
There's a lot of great seasons in Alberta.
Congratulations
Hockey season,
if you
harvest
missed it.
season, the winter season, and the even more winter season. But GS Construction is already preparing for our next
Connor.
great season. Because while the city slows down, we plan ahead. Projects, people, and pipelines. Everything starts taking shape for another strong year underground. We're also getting ready for our next hiring season in March. We want new people who want to build something that lasts. For more on us and to apply, visit gsconstruction.ca.
At Fountain Tire, success is a team effort. They're committed to their team members and their customers. And that means treating your vehicle like it's their own and finding solutions that suit your needs. Because whatever the road brings ahead, they're on it with you. Visit fountaintire.com today.
Hi, Mike here from Northgate Chevrolet Buick GMC. Free trips, free iPads, a barbecue, a wood stove, the #1 dealer in the world. What? Who cares? How about no pressure, a great deal, finance rates as low as 0%, trade values you can be happy with, and an indoor showroom. And we're pretty good people. Stop in and see us today, 13215 97th Street, or visit us online at northgategm.com.
Shoulder pain. It can make even the simplest things like reaching up, lifting a bag, brushing your teeth, or sleeping frustrating. Rotator cuff strains, impingement, arthritis, they're some of the most common issues we treat every day. I'm Grant Fedoruk, and at Leading Edge Physio, our team brings postgraduate training, evidence-based technology, and just the right amount of humor and humility to help you feel better. Because we never forget the most important part, the gratitude we feel for every patient who allows us the opportunity to care for them. Because life shouldn't hurt. When it does, leadingedgephysio.com.
Ready for a silly hockey fans. Your partner in power just skated onto the ice.
EWEL.ca, the new e-commerce website for electrical wholesalers Edmonton, is ready for the power play 24/7, 365.
UL skates to where the puck will be in 5 years. Now that's forward thinking.
Killer selection, slamming products from the best brands, and legendary service.
Don't sit on the bench. Get your account today at ewell.ca and win that project.
Plug into your partner in power. Get an EWEL.ca account today.
Debt can take over your life. The stress, the constant worry, it can feel like you're drowning. When people come to see me, they're often anxious and feeling hopeless. But when I explain how I can help them get out of debt, those feelings melt away. I'm Parveen Middleton, licensed insolvency trustee at BDO here in Edmonton. I will create a personalized debt relief plan so you can move forward with confidence. Call 1-833-BDO-TALK or visit bdodebt.ca to discover your debt-free future.
Considering an EV, Subaru is the right choice. Discover their latest electric vehicle innovations, starting with the brand new Solterra, in stock and ready to test drive. Or the Trail Seeker, an EV at its core, a Subaru at heart and built for adventure. Or the uncharted This Sporty, all-new small compact SUV brings new levels of driving enjoyment to the all-electric space. Right now, Subaru is offering interest rates as low as 0.49%. Welcome to electric. Welcome to Subaru.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Japa Machinery. Japa is digging deep on their 50-year history of supporting Alberta's construction industry with their line of special edition blackout excavators. Visit japamachinery.com for all the details.
The Jason Gregor Show, the best of Edmonton sports talk and beyond. This is Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
Just after 3 o'clock, welcome back. Sports 1440, sports1440.ca, YouTube, Facebook, X, Instagram. It is the Jason Gregor Show. It's always brought to you by PlayAlberta.ca, where you can get in the game. Of course, casino, live dealer, lottery, instance, and sports. They got it all in one place. And of course, we got some daily specials, little association action, if you like it. Some teams to win big. Let's go with the Heat and the Timberwolves tonight. Also, if you like offense, some games with the overs as well. So you can check that out onto the Jason Gregor Show tab. Good luck with that. 833-401-1440. 833-401-1440. Hey guys, don't you dress 13-7 in the Olympics? I gotta look at that again. I know they changed the rules a while back. I think you might be right with the 20 skaters in the roster. But the truth is, when you have 13 and 7, some coaches, like the 13-4 just doesn't get in the rotation very much, right? Unless they're a penalty killer. And even then, like, it's hard enough to get a 12 forward in. Never mind 13. So honestly, if I was a coach, like, I guess you have the 13 dressed in case of an injury, and then you can run 4 lines. But I might just say to the guy, hey, you know what? You're going to sit there and you're going to be just pretend you're you're at the grocery store, right?
I've been that grocery stick before. Best seat in the house.
But if you know going in, right, it's probably easier to handle. Say, hey, this is different. Okay, this is 13. We have 12. I understand. I don't have to like it, but next game, because you'll probably play everybody in a rotation, I would think, out of those guys. This is different. 4 nations only had 4 games. This has potentially 7 if you don't get the bye. Now Canada probably will have 6 because they'll play 3, then they'll get a bye if they finish top of their pool, or even, I guess, if they finish second in their pool and have a better record than the other 2 second-place teams, then you get a bye, and then you play quarterfinal, semifinal, final, and away you go. And Czechia is on the board 5-1. So they're outscoring Canada 1-0 now without Poulin in the lineup, and we still haven't got an update on it, and probably won't get one right away. But man, that's going to be the one storyline to watch now for the women's hockey tournament, just to see the health of Marie-Philippe Poulin, to see how she will be later on. We got a lot of text line in 833-401-1440, 833-401-1440. Hey, Greg, I don't know if you touched on it yet or not, but what's your thoughts on the Paul Coffey rumors? Well, I'll get my opinion, but Brownie, what do you think? There's rumblings that maybe they would bring him back.
I don't see how you could bring a guy back. I mean, it's a season. Every season has these types of challenges. Last year, the year before, and for every team. I mean, we can't sit here and I mean, I guess this is what losing kind of does, right? You start to magnify and start to look at everything, and as fans, we start to see, well, how can we fix the problem? But we got to allow the coaching staff and Knoblauch. I mean, he's been to 2 Game 7s. He's hired to coach. He picked his coaches. We got to let him coach. I think, if to have somebody with experience, I see the benefit of it, right? A guy like Paul Coffey or anyone that's had success either as a coach or a player. I think, being a former player, you can easily relate to those guys. But he's not there. And I don't think, you just inject a guy now. I think that would just really make it awkward, right? I think this break has been nice. I think there's a real opportunity for the coaching staff. He talked about having a mini camp. They're probably reflecting right now, and the conversations and strategies and the different things that they need to do. I think we need to, kind of let him do his job. But to bring someone in, and that's not a slight at Paul Coffey and what he's done, because, having him on the bench to begin the year, I think would have been beneficial, but I don't think you bring him in now.
Yeah, I look at, and because I was asked this in one of our mailbags in Oilers Nation, I said, at times we romanticize a lot in sports, and, oh yeah, Paul Coffey was here and he was great. And I'm not saying he was bad, but when he was here, this team still had stretches where they were bad defensively and the penalty kill struggled. It's not new, right? Like last year, the first 15 games, the penalty kill was beyond terrible, right? It was like 59%, I think, in the first 15 games. Like, it was brutal. And then the rest of the year was like 82%. It was top 5. So But the overall season numbers didn't look great because they were so bad in the first 15. It's like this year. They were 10th for the first 53 games and then have just completely tanked, going 35.7%. And now they're down to 27th on the season. Defensively, the Oilers have given up too many goals. There's no debate that. A lot of it comes from the penalty kill. And I know that the head coach and Coffey didn't get along perfectly. That doesn't mean you hate someone, but if you're not always on the same page, can you bring that guy back? I think it's a storyline that's getting more fire because there's now an Olympic break. And if you were playing games, there'd be something else to talk about. So people are focusing on it. I'd be very surprised if you bring Paul Coffey back. You're essentially telling the head coach who he has to have on his staff. And that goes against what you did in the offseason.
Do you think that Stan Bowman should have stepped in before the season and maybe suggested who he should have had? Like, did they give him the opportunity too soon?
Well, no,
there's a lot of guys with a ton of experience that have played, not just Paul Coffey.
Yeah.
Right. But with knowing the staff that they have now, would they not benefit from having somebody that's done a little bit more in the game? And is there not value in that?
I don't know. I'd have to look at who's on Tampa Bay's assistant coaching staff, right? Like when John Cooper, I'd like to go back and look at who was on his staff when he first took over, right? Like Knobloch has been to 2 Stanley Cup finals the last 2 years as the head coach, right? And Stewart was there. So basically, they didn't really replace Paul Coffey. So that's a valid question to say, used to have 4 coaches having input and making decisions, and now you have 3. Now you still have a goalie coach. You still have, they did bring Connor Allen as a skills coach, right? But Dave Pelche was here, and skills coach, maybe a little bit different level of skills coach, but still he was here, right? They had a goalie coach. Now they have a goalie coach. They have a skills coach. That hasn't changed. The difference is last year you had Coffey and Stewart, and this year you just have Stewart, right? Because McFarland's in the place of Galton, and the power play is still great. So if you wanted to feel like, hey, we need another voice, maybe a veteran, I could see that argument. I just can't see it being the guy that you got rid of or decided that, you know what, we don't want that. That to me would just cause, that reeks of dysfunction for me.
For sure. But you wouldn't have suggested it if you don't, as far as Stan Bowman saying, hey, at the beginning of the season, that's fine. You don't see eye to eye with Paul Coffey. Do we bring someone? Do you think he should have brought
Mark
someone
Stewart's been coaching a lot, so I think they probably felt
so you're
like
okay
Mark
with
Stewart had
you think they have enough experience?
To me, it's not so much about experience. I don't know if they've got a hammer on the coaching staff.
But
like a real
do you get
vocal-
I know. Do you get the hammer with experience? I think that helps.
Paul Coffey didn't have a ton of coaching experience, and he came in and he was pretty assertive.
Exactly,
So
because he's Paul Coffey.
Yeah, but he didn't have coaching experience is my point.
No, I know, but he's got the playing experience. I know from player to player, if I'm looking at Paul Coffey and he's talking to me, whether he's got coaching experience or not, if the guy's played in every situation, I'm listening to Paul Coffey.
Right. But so that means you're not listening to Mark Stewart if he's coached for 10 years?
No, but there is a little bit of a difference.
Okay. Well, no, it's a valid question, but I think we both agree though. Coffey's
not coming back.
Nah, no.
Like you said, that would be
that would be odd. Like if Coffey came back, I think you'd have to change the head coach. That's the way I look at it.
Yeah.
Right. And like looking down the road, further, who knows? But if things don't go the way the organization wants in the next 2 years, I think Paul Coffey might be more of a general manager than coach. I could see that. It's a really smart dude, right? Like, how he sees the game. And so, people say, yeah, you don't have GM experience. And to a point, that's valid. We just saw a coach who was a rookie coach. Everybody was wondering what Seattle was doing when they hired McDonald. How'd that work out? They just won in his second year, right? So, experience is nice, but if you've got knowledge and you're good communicators, a head coach, and it's not like you get a head coach who's never had any experience anywhere else. Like Knobloch had coached in lots of areas, been coaching for, over a decade, just not in the NHL, but learning how to communicate and handle personalities is something you get in coaching, right?
Yeah.
So I look at the Oilers, and I think how they went into the break probably fueled more anger. Yet the Oilers aren't in a bad position, and I still think they're underachieving. So that's probably makes it frustrating. They're really underachieving at home. To me, that's the big the worrisome part about this team is that against the weak teams on home ice, they didn't play very well.
I could imagine this break as an athlete, not being all that enjoyable. I think the timing of it's great, but just from an athlete, like looking at it from an athlete's point of view, never had an Olympic break or anything like that, but I've had, all-star breaks and stuff. And it's, people don't understand, like, they're probably frustrated right now, wherever they are in the Bahamas or Mexico, wherever they are. Like it's hard to come down and, I bet you they are where they are, but mentally they're probably hoping and wishing that they were kind of back here on the bike in a routine, trying to fix this. I know it wouldn't be sitting well with those guys. So yeah, I mean, I'm interested to see how they come back. And, I really do feel like they have the pieces there. It's finding the ability from a coaching staff to get guys to buy into their identity on how they have to play. Right. And that's where I think the experience from someone that's played like a Paul Coffey helps with those conversations and probably helps with those buy-ins and that, the ability, to be able to relate maybe a little bit more.
This one comes from Drew. Hey, Brown, is it tough for an NHLer to change what type of player they are, from a skilled player to a rough and tumble, especially if the coaching staff is asking you to? From Drew. I don't know if coaches do that. Right? Like,
I don't think you can. I think you have to come into the league. You're drafted for a certain reason. Every player has an identity of kind of what got them there. I think that you can grow your game around the fringes, but it never takes away from your identity of actually why you actually got there. I think Brad Marchand's probably, a pretty good example of that. Came in as an agitator, hard to play against, and obviously has developed his game, has a well-rounded game, but he still has that, element to his game that that's just who he is. So, and that's the one thing I think at the bottom six, you could see with him trying to move guys around and plug guys in, plug guys out, take them out of the lineup, trying to send a message. I think when he looks down there, he's just, you see what you're going to get from Draisaitl and McDavid. They're going to, produce offensive opportunities and create chances in the offensive zone. And then when you look down past those top two lines, you're kind of like, not sure. What do we have? Are they going to, is there a line that's going to play heavy and big, or someone? So, it's, you got to come into the league. And if you want to stay in the league, you got to have the consistency to exactly who you are.
Yeah. I will take a quick break. When we come back, we are going to be joined by Ben Steiner to discuss the Olympic Games and some of the big stories that have occurred already, and some to watch for coming up in the next few days here on Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube, Facebook, X, and Instagram.
Hello. You're never going to believe this. Booster Juice called your name today. You can get a free smoothie or acai bowl.
No way. I'm heading there now.
Oh my gosh, you and my brother have the same name. Okay, I'm calling him next. I'm hanging up.
Booster Juice Names of the Day is back. 2 names are selected each day, and if your name matches, you can get a free smoothie or an acai bowl. Watch for your name on the Booster Rewards app and social media. Must be an app member to qualify. Booster Juice. Canadian born, blending since 1999.
Ooh, girl, the way you touch that thermostat, it really turns me on. Like a heat exchanger, sensual phenomenon. Wanna play your favorite song when we turn the heating on, like a legacy of love.
Legacy Heating and Cooling keeps your Valentine's sizzling hot. You can afford to shower your Valentine with affection because Legacy offers no payments and no interest for 1 year on your new furnace. And that's how you build your legacy of love. Legacy Heating and Cooling.
Hey, Edmonton, did you know a local Play Alberta winner scored over $500,000 on Mega Jackpots Ocean Bells? Think about the season tickets you could lock down with that kind of cash. From major casino winners every hour to jackpots worth millions and hundreds of popular games to money that stays in the province, there's never been a better time to sign up for Play Alberta. Download the app today to get started with casino, sports, and lottery all in one app. Must be 18 plus to play. When you gamble, use your game sense.
Need a new ride for road trips, errands, or just life on the go? Go Auto offers a massive selection with over 15,000 new and used vehicles to choose from. With over 70 locations across Western Canada, finding your next ride has never been easier. Whether it's a roomy SUV for the family, a sleek car for the open road, or a rugged truck for your weekend adventures, you'll find it here at a price you'll love. Explore thousands of vehicles today at goauto.ca.
No fluff, no fillers, just pure entertainment. Sports 1440 brings the heat with bold opinions, big personalities, and Edmonton's fiercest fans. This is your turf. This is Edmonton's sports leader, Sports 1440.
The job isn't done until the last load is hauled, and having a semi-trailer out of commission is not an option. Whether replacing or adding to your convoy, Edmonton Trailer has a huge inventory of new and used semi-trailers, trusted by the gravel, logging, oil field, fluids, and freight industries. Find a trailer right for you online or at one of their 3 locations. For sales, service, parts, rental, and finance, when you're in it for the long haul, Edmonton Trailer.
If I had $46,000, I'd buy a robot butler and a trampoline. And maybe a trampoline for the robot butler.
You might have a few ideas of your own. The first early bird deadline for the Big Brothers Big Sisters Dream Home Lottery is February 11th. Get your tickets now for a chance to win $46,000 and support kids across Edmonton. Buy today at bigbrothersdreamhome.org. Lottery license number 745563 and 745562. Tickets sold only within Alberta.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Sherbrooke Liquor, the best place for wine, cocktails, and beers from all over the world. Also a variety of excellent and non-alcoholic options. See more at SherbrookeLiquor.com.
This is Sports 1440, where Edmonton talks sports.
On YouTube, Facebook, and X.
Here's Jason Gregor.
Brought to you by PlayAlberta.ca.
.326. Welcome back, Jason Gregor, Sean Brown, Connor Halley, Sports 1440. Make sure you got some windshield wiper fluid. It is the melt is on. Canada still leading Czechia 5-1. And the fact that Canada doesn't have a goal in this period, I'm starting to wonder if maybe that Poulin injury is worse than you think, because that would mentally impact the team, right? Like it's. I remember when McDavid got injured on his first shift that one game in Columbus, and then he just got spanked. Like they got steamrolled, right? Like you're like, oh my God. And you're the Canadian women, and truth factor is in the Olympics, Canadian women's hockey is Canada and the US. Everybody knows it. Anybody can try to pretend anything else. We all know that those two teams, you walk through everything. They'll get to this. Somebody might be a 1-goal game. Oh yeah, they're getting close. They're never really close. And then it's Canada, US again. But you take out Marie-Philippe Poulin, that's a real big blow for Canada. And the fact that they don't have a goal yet in this period, they've actually been outscored by Czechia since the injury. It's interesting to me to see kind of, where they're at a little bit. So hopefully it's nothing serious, but just their play in the second period makes me wonder that maybe it is. I hope I'm wrong.
I think we're okay. Watching it, they were up 5-0 into the third, right?
No, in the first period, and then she got hurt. This is the second period now. And they're getting outscored 5-1.
I thought it's the third period.
Well, they haven't scored then since. They were up 5-0. Yeah.
Yeah, going into the third.
Yeah, but
I think they're fine.
Yeah,
I mean,
just the way they played.
I know what you mean.
Like
though, mentally,
normally in this game, it's 9-0. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
they don't. I'll say the one thing in the women's game, like they don't take the foot off the gas usually in these tournaments. It's not like we're up if you know we need to be up 6 or 7, and just Czechia has kind of dominated this period. That's all I'm saying. It's a concern for me just how they reacted. I hope I'm wrong. Maybe I'm reading too much into it, but we'll see. Probably not going to get a great answer after the game from the coach, but we'll see. Let's talk a little bit about the Milan games now as we get to go in the room. Brought to you by Action Electrical, where they have installed over 300 residential solar installations throughout Alberta, where you can save up to $40,000. You get a 10-year interest-free loan available from the government. Paybacks in 6 to 8 years. Get it on your roof today. Action Electrical. Net as Ben Steiner from Sports Illustrated joins us. And Ben, the Olympics are obviously an amazing event. This year a little bit different because they're spread out maybe more than we've seen in the past. I think once the events get going, I don't think that matters that much. But early on for the first few days, has there been a story that really stood out to you?
Well, good to be on with you guys. An exciting time with the Olympics. It's the Olympics we've become used to over the last 12 years to start off with focus on all the sports. And I think very quickly it's going to become the men's hockey tournament and the rest of the Olympics as well. And of course, excitement around the women's hockey tournament, considering the participation of PWHL players this time. A lot of them on this Czechia team that is giving a bit of a push to Team Canada as well after that Marie-Philippe Poulin injury. But in terms of the story of the game so far, I think it has to be partially on the success of the Italian team so far. They've won the most medals at the games through 3 days. They won a gold medal on the first day of the games, a fantastic start for the host nation, and host nations tend to do well when it comes to the Winter Olympics in particular. And then I think the story that's defined these games so far has to be Lindsey Vonn. She returned at 41 years old to get back to the start gate at the Olympics. She was dominant throughout the World Cup season, the best downhiller in the world, even though she spent 8 years out of the sport, came back and 13 seconds into her first run, just was a little bit too aggressive, got caught up in a gate and ended up crashing and ended up having surgery. She said that she has no regrets, like dare in life. She was daring. She might want to get back, but I don't see her ski racing again.
No, and that was very unfortunate. She hit the gate with her hand. I don't think that her knee was the reason why. She was just obviously going for it. And, you're trying to every millisecond, the closer you are to the gate, that can cut off some time. And, unfortunately for her, she crashed pretty hard. And, everybody heard the screams. It definitely didn't look great. I look at Canada and, I'm watching the replay again of the Poulin injury they're showing it here. It's not good. Like I really hope she comes back, but it didn't look great. The Canada 2 medals early on. There's 18 countries that have medals. There's only 7 countries that have more than 2 medals. So it might seem like it's slow because there's only 2 bronze, but when you look at Canada and where they're at, it's not a huge surprise. It wasn't like there's been tons of favorites that haven't made the podium yet. But are there certain events that you look at, Ben, and say, okay, these are the ones where I know lock is probably too harsh of a word because there's no guarantee in the Olympics that you win. But are there certain athletes that this week you say, okay, I'm really focusing in on them for Canada?
Yeah, for sure. And I think that the athletes that haven't ended up on the podium yet are ones where you looked at it and you were like, they have a shot. I think of Jack Crawford and Cam Alexander, the men's downhill. On their day, they can compete with the best, but it just wasn't their day and they weren't able to land on the podium in that one. But when you look ahead to this week, we get going with short track speed skating tomorrow. And a name that you will know by the end of this week is Will Dongenou. He said he was born for the Olympic Games and born for a stage like this. He's won back-to-back Crystal Globes, which goes to the best athlete in the overall standings when it comes to the World Cup circuit, which these athletes compete on. And he's been, leaps and bounds in front of the rest. So I think Will Dongenou probably looking at gold medals in the 500 and the 1,000. And then I think you can also look at Mikhail Kingsbury. This is his 4th Olympics. He has a gold medal and 2 silvers. He has 100 World Cup wins to his name. Absolute legend. He has his whole family there now as well. And he has a chance to win 2 gold medals. So that's an extra gold medal that he wouldn't have had a chance at before because they've introduced a dual moguls event to go along with the individual.
Yeah, can you explain that, the dual moguls? Because I love any of the skiing events, man. Like even the skiathlon I watched, I was blown away by it, and just because cross country skiing is so damn hard for an average human. But what do you make of the dual moguls?
The dual moguls is a fun event. I'm glad they brought this into the Olympics, and they continue to modernize a lot of these head-to-head events at the Olympics because it's just so exciting to watch two athletes going literally head to head. So it's two athletes going down the course at the exact same time. And they are both judged in terms of their time and in terms of their style points. And so it's a bracket. They advance through the bracket, and then you have the gold medal skiing matchup to do ski moguls. And that will be pretty exciting, especially if it's Mikael Kingsbury in that final.
The Olympics themselves, there hasn't been any, like, obviously Lindsey Vonn was a terrible story early on as far as the outcome, but also it's kind of weird because it was inspiring at the same time. The fact that she was even willing to want to go down the hill with a ruptured ACL was kind of mind-blowing to me. But you look at Canada in the, like, curling is a sport where Canadians take a lot of pride and think we should be really good. And, not a great result for the mixed curling team. And I know it was a deep pool, but it kind of surprised that at the end of it, they really weren't that close to being competitive.
They weren't that close, and it was a heartbreaking end for Jocelyn Peterman and Brett Gallant. They have been preparing for over a year, knowing that they were going to represent Canada, and that was an adjustment by Curling Canada after the disappointment in mixed doubles at the Beijing 2022 Olympics as well. But I wouldn't necessarily be sounding the alarm bells for Canada at the Olympics in curling just yet. There's two very strong rinks that they're sending in the men's and women's competitions. Team Homan has been, by far the best team in Canada over the last little while. Carrie Anderson led her team to win the Scotties, but Homan wasn't there just because Homan didn't see that as appropriate preparation in terms of where she's at for these Olympics. So I think for Homan, it's gold or bust. And I think for Canadian curling and women's curling, it's gold or bust. You can't quite say the same considering where Team Brad Jacobs is entering in the men's competition. He is by far the best Canadian curler at this moment. He's going back to the Olympics. He's stood on the podium at the Olympics before, and he has a lot of athletes that have a ton of experience, including Mark Kennedy, going to be the oldest athlete on this Canadian 206 athlete delegation at 44 years old. But for him, I think you're looking at a podium spot. And if it's not a podium spot, then we can start to panic. But when you look at what Team GB brings into these games, and even what the US and Italy are bringing into these games, and Nick Edin with Sweden as well, he hasn't been in top form. So Brad Jacobs a little bit of a test, but Rachel Homan, it's gold or bust in the women's competition.
Oh yeah, no, and she's been dominant. Like, her team has dominated for multiple years.
She's the best curler this country has to offer at the moment, and if she had gone to the Scotties, she might not have lost a game.
So I've been watching on TV, and obviously you have too, and some of the technology I think has done a great job of kind of just keeping you engaged as a fan, whether it's the drone or I guess, in figure skating, they got the jump map. But how's your experience watching it at home?
I think the cool thing that they've done with a lot of these sports, and I watch a lot of these sports throughout the 4 years as well, and not necessarily just the Olympics, but they've added more elements into these Olympic broadcasts that really emphasize what people that don't watch the sports all the time really like. In terms of the downhill ski racing, there's usually not an indicator throughout the entire race telling you where the athlete is. There's usually not a look into the team radio, which of course they brought in given its popularity in F1, and there's usually not a speedometer throughout the entire race either. So I think that addition has really made it exciting for people that might see timed sports like F1, which bring head-to-head into it as well. But when you think of those high speeds and just how crazy some of these Winter Olympic sports can be, it has allowed people to get into it a little bit more. The one that I've been stunned by is just the fact that they're flying a drone down the sliding course. I'm worried that an athlete will crash and the drone will hit them, and that hasn't happened yet, but it could be a concern. It's happened in ski racing before, and it's never a good thing.
How about the dual moguls is something new, which I actually quite like, just because head to head, it kind of it's different than just time, and sometimes you'll go faster if the person right beside you. Like, that's why I love ski cross and snowboard cross, just because they're competing at the same time. And obviously that one's a little different because in the moguls you're not going to touch your competitor, I wouldn't think, but in ski cross,
I hope not.
Yeah, exactly. If you do, then you probably you've gone off track. But when we get into the to the speed skating and the short track, to the long track, obviously is very competitive. But Canada, when it first came out, when short track was there, Canada really dominated. We're still one of the better nations, but when you look at our short track team this year, Ben, What's your expectations overall of them and how many medals maybe they could come away with?
I think you can look at all the relays. Donjanu is, he's the best in the world right now, and he could really lead this Canadian team through the relays, through his individual events as well. So he's going to be the name to watch. Other athletes, Courtney Sarow has some international experience that she brings into these games. It's a bit of a transition year outside of Donjanu. There's not really a outrageous superstar like he is in terms of the success. But the relays and with Donjanu, I think we're going to become very familiar with him in the next week. Maybe even a closing ceremony flag bearer for this team.
Ooh. What's your expectations for hockey?
It's a good question. Men's hockey, it's gold or bust. I don't think anybody in this country is satisfied if the Canadian team doesn't win gold. You can look at their forwards and say they're probably favored to win gold. And then, of course, we have the questions about the goaltending that have been there throughout the years, but weren't necessarily an issue at the Four Nations face-off. So we'll see where men's hockey goes. I think it's a coin flip between Canada and the U.S. at this point. Maybe a team like Sweden can surprise a little bit, but with the way, Elias Pettersson's going to be playing a high role for them, and he has been performing with the Canucks. Sure, like Leon Draisaitl is going to captain Germany. They'll be fine. They're not pushing Canada or the U.S. So it's Canada or the U.S. in men's hockey, and that will take over the second week of the Olympics here. The women's hockey one's a bigger question because Canada, of course, is a good team. Marie-Philippe Poulin will have to see where her injury stands. She wasn't able to return in today's game, but Canada did score 4 goals, at least without her. Last I checked, it was 5-1 in this game. The U.S. is leaps and bounds in front of Canada, though. They dominated them. They scored double digits against them in the rivalry series. So it's USA, Canada, but Czechia could push. We've seen that today. I think we could see a Finnish team that could push. And in my predictions before this on Daily Faceoff, we had Czechia actually winning silver and beating out Canada in the semifinal.
Really? Yeah, well, that would be a major upset. Anything's possible. I could see, obviously, I guess they would meet in the semis for that, and the U.S. would obviously finish first, which I think most people are expecting in the round robin, the way it's gone. But if Poulin is out, that definitely, psychologically, I think that hurts for Canada. I know that they score, but for them to go 40 minutes and get outscored by Czechia, I just wonder when teams lose their best player, sometimes you go in the dressing room, all of a sudden you're like, oh my God, you start to hear what people are talking about, and it can impact you. There's no, especially if it's something serious. We've seen that in team sports all the time. Like, it's hard. You can't just pretend you're a robot and then it's not going to affect you mentally. Because they're second and third period. And I know they were leading, but you've seen them lead before, and then they just go for the juggler and they take a 5-0 lead, and suddenly it's 8-0 or 9-0, right? Like that's to me, just the one concern I have is if Poulin's out, like Canada struggled with her against the U.S. Like we saw him here in Edmonton, and the U.S. team was just way quicker than Canada. That to me is the one surprising part about when they met in the, I guess we want to call it the regular season or the lead up to the Olympics. They were just way quicker than Canada, and we haven't seen that before.
We haven't seen that before, but that's also how head coach Troy Ryan and general manager Gina Kingsbury have built this team and have similarly built the Toronto Scepters in the PWHL, who have had some of these same issues where they lose a key player and they can't produce any offense. So I think Troy Ryan is actually coaching for his job a little bit with this Canadian team. It has to be gold or bust. This is his second Olympics. He's been to 5 world championships with this team, but it creates a bit of a complicated picture because Kingsbury is also the general manager of the Toronto Scepters. So there wasn't going to be a firing before the Olympics, and the Scepters have struggled. And there's been questions about Troy Ryan and the Toronto Scepters. So that whole link between the Scepters and the PWHL and Hockey Canada is probably keeping these two people in their jobs for now. A gold medal changes that. They would probably stay in that role if they both win gold medals with this team. But if they don't, I think we could see some changes in the women's program.
So I'm kind of curious to see how the reffing is going to play out. Obviously, Canada has a few players that play on the edge, Wilson and Sam Bennett. Who do you think has to maybe adjust more, the refs or the players?
The players. The refs have the rules. There is a rule book, and they certainly call it when it comes to Olympic hockey. And we've seen that already in the women's tournament, because in terms of the PWHL, you're allowed to body check. There's a lot more ways on the physical play that these players are now used to, playing 30 plus games a year. And that goes for Canada, the USA, Czechia, Finland, these countries that have a lot of PWHL players. and now they're getting penalized for illegal hits at the Olympics. And all I can think about at every time we're seeing that call is what is going to happen to Tom Wilson. And that's the name I zero in on, because he was brought to add a physical edge. Okay, the rink's already a little bit smaller. This is going to be a physical game. What is he without that physicality, right? Like he's not one of the best players in Canada without that physicality, I don't think. It could be costly. Like, could you not predict that he is going to take a 5-minute interference penalty for a regular body check? And we're talking about that in a semifinal when Canada loses. It's a very plausible storyline there.
And lastly, have you heard anything on the Canadian pairs figure skating team of Salato Dudek and Max Deschamps? On, there's all these rumors I've been reading. Maybe they're coming. There's an injury. Maybe they won't. Heard anything on that?
They didn't compete in the pairs competition of the team event, but we're expecting an update tomorrow on Deanna Stellato Dudek and, of course, her partner Maxime Deschamps in terms of their participation in the partner event later this week.
Well, so we find out tomorrow is what you're saying. All right. Awesome. Thanks, Ben. Enjoy the Olympics, and hopefully Canada gets a few more podiums here very soon.
Always a ton of fun. Thanks, guys.
That's Ben Steiner joining us for Day of the Faceoff, also for Sports Illustrated. And, that's another kind of, there's a few storylines to watch here. The Poulin injury is a big one for the Canadian women's team, no question. The pairs, how healthy are they? Are they going to even be able to compete or not? So, that's just the worst. You play for 4 years and then you get hurt like the week before. Like, that's like, Lindsey Vonn, when everyone's like, oh, just pull out. I'm like, I don't think you understand. I don't think you understand the commitment it takes to do all that. And she was racing great. She'd won on the tour. It wasn't like she was just there by her name. She was dominant. She was one of the best on the circuit. And then, unfortunately, got injured and then still went for it and crashed out, hitting her hand on the gate. But that Poulin, to me, for Canada, that's the big story of the next few days.
I think when I think about that, Gregor, I think when you're in a game and you lose your star player in the first or second period, I don't think it has as big of an impact as if she was going to miss the next game and you don't even have her in the lineup. You know what I mean? Like, I think when you're in it as a hockey player or just as an athlete in general, you're in the moment, you're in the zone, and you're just playing, and different things happen. And I've been in those situations before, but I think the psychological effect could really play a bigger part is if she actually misses the game from the very beginning.
Oh yeah, no, that's fair. Quick break. We'll return. It's a Gregor Show presented by PlayAlberta.ca. We got a lot of questions about the Olympics, overtime, and more here. Sports 1440, sports1440.ca.
Legacy Heating and Cooling is the #1 furnace replacement company for lovers. Because the best aphrodisiac is no payments and no interest for 1 year on your new furnace from Legacy. So forget about the oysters, baby. If you really want to check the heat, we can be a thermal couple, baby. Give me your sweet loving legacy. Heat things up with no payments and no interest for 1 year on your new furnace from Legacy Heating and Cooling.
Come for Canada's largest trade shows, the biggest names in entertainment, exhilarating sporting events, and more. And stay for the experience at the Edmonton Expo Centre. Looking for the perfect place to host your next big event? From trade shows to galas, meetings, and concerts, the Edmonton Expo Centre has the space, event expertise, and service to make your next event unforgettable. With over 522,000 square feet of flexible event space, in-house catering, and operational expertise, they bring your biggest vision to life. Learn more at EdmontonExpoCenter.com today.
They're not just a grocery store. They're a butcher, a baker, a cafe, deli, rotisserie pizza, and restaurant, all under one roof. Loca Quality Market does food differently with 2 locations to serve you. Edmonton and Sherwood Park. Visit loca.ca.
Out on the rocks, the party never stops.
Check it out.
Mondays, bingo tunes.
Tuesdays, tacos and tequila.
Wednesdays, it's wings and karaoke.
Shake what your mama gave ya with salsa lessons on Thursdays and the best live DJs.
Plus, live music every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, along with DJ Kenny K.
Hold on, let's not forget $5 happy hour, 7 days a week.
Your bar, your party. You're on the rocks.
On the rocks.
Jasper Ave and 118th.
McValue breakfast meals are $5 plus tax every day. Get a sausage McMuffin, bagel with cream cheese product, or breakfast burrito with hash brown and small coffee, all for just $5 plus taxes. Available until 11 a.m. at Canadian restaurants. Product availability varies. Prices exclude delivery.
You see it? Fusion Promo Marketing can make it.
Fusion makes high-quality, memorable promotional products for businesses, sports teams, and corporate events. From vision to reality, get noticed and remembered. Fusion with a Z. Promomarketing.ca.
Invest for today and tomorrow. Vision Credit Union makes it simple with 2 RRSP options to fit your goals. Choose a secure term deposit RRSP with guaranteed returns or a mutual fund RRSP offering higher growth potential with exciting opportunities. With an RRSP, you'll save on your income tax, grow your investments tax-free, and get closer to your dreams. Whether it's retirement or your first home, the deadline to qualify for 2025 tax deductions is March 2nd. Learn more at visioncu.ca.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Papa John's. Get 3 large specialty pizzas for only $54.99. Perfect for game night. Use promo code 3LG at papajohns.ca or on the Papa John's app.
The Jason Gregor Show, the best of Edmonton sports talk and beyond. This is Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
.349. Jason Gregor, Sean Brown, Connor Halley with you. I should mention also Erin Ambrose left that game with an injury. She kind of fell awkwardly. And so they could be potentially down 2 players as they get set to take on the United States tomorrow for the women's game. So not and they came in, honestly, I know it's rare, but for the women's team, they're the clear underdog against the USA based on how the USA had dominated them head-to-head earlier this year. We'd never seen that before in the history of these two teams, where one side clearly dominated and won by such a large margin in every game. So it's kind of where the U.S. I know now, I don't claim to be a big expert on the women's team and I don't watch them that often, but the game I watched here, the 2 games in Edmonton, I was surprised at just how much quicker the U.S. was. And I talked to people who covered, they're like, oh yeah. And they were already talking about how they didn't love the selection choices for Team Canada, that they maybe went with a few too many veterans who were a little bit slower at this stage of their career. So, and hey, if that sounds familiar, say hello 2006 in the men's team, because that's what happened then. Right?
There's always a chance, though. Not always the best team wins in a 1-game playoff, right? So
once you're in. You never know,
like
right?
The goalie gets hot.
Yeah,
a couple bad calls, couple breaks. Things can change.
Yeah, it's true. But you look at Canada does have a lot of players who are in their 30s on this team, and not a ton of youngsters on the squad. I think one of the Kale Osborne, she's 23 or 24. I think she's turning 24 here right away. And other than that, she might be the youngest player on the team. So they didn't, and hey, I know it's a competitive team, right? But you got Macklin Celebrini on the men's team, right? You got somebody young. I was a little surprised there was no one under I think she's the youngest and she's turning 24.
I didn't realize in the PWHL that they allow hitting.
Well, no, they don't allow hitting. They allow contact. You can't along the boards, yes, but you can't Brian Marchman or Scott Stevens, someone in the middle of the ice. So you're allowed on the boards, rubbing out is definitely allowed, but they don't allow the big open ice hits.
Because I'm watching this check game here and I'm like, okay, that looks
like
a penalty. That's not a penalty.
The play that Philippe Poulin got hurt on wasn't a penalty, right? Because that's contact up against the boards. But it is, it's. I think it's misleading to say that there's no body checking in the women's game. I think that's misleading. But it's confusing because, you kind of have to describe, there is body checking really against the boards. You watch a lot of the games, they're like, well, geez, if you're not allowed body checking, why the hell is it? Because you are allowed kind of in certain areas. It's like a weird
So if
thing.
your toes are going almost in the same direction and you're rubbing out.
Yes. Yes,
Yeah.
you're allowed that.
Okay.
Yeah, they don't want the big,
Yeah.
run
Yeah.
into it like
Yeah.
straight on,
Yeah.
crush someone hits.
So how much does this play into the men's, do you think?
What do you mean?
The reffing.
I don't think so. Like Canada's won the Olympics many years before. I don't think the refereeing's drastically changed that much. We know that it's different than the NHL rules, but that's even for every country. It's not like Canada and the US play different rules in the NHL than the Swedes or the Finns or the Czechs. They all play the same rules, and now they're all going to have to adapt to the rules. Now, do the teams who have more players from outside the NHL, would that potentially give them a slight advantage, like Germany and them? Sure, but they don't have the skill set. And so it's 6 of one, half dozen the other. I never like thinking referees are going to be the factor in a game. So I don't even really, for me personally, I don't really worry about it.
Yeah.
Like we had an official came up to us. He was reffing his first game at U13 Tier 1. And he goes, hey, guys, just so you know, it's my first game at Tier 1. I'm like, yeah, no problem. But that's, you know what? Honestly, it's like, okay. So, and I'm like, it's a young guy anyway. I said, hey, man, yeah, have any problems? We'll talk. It's all good. Right. And did he allow a few trips early on? I'm like, yeah, no problem. But honestly, like afterwards, when he asked me as we were walking off, is there anything? Because the kid in the other team had punched a few kids once. And I just said, as a young official, the minute you see, because it was a blowout game, the minute you see somebody who's getting mad like that, just and I've said, even if you have to send 2, like 1 from each team, it just calms it down. That would be my only suggestion. But I thought you did fine.
Wow, that's pretty impressive. So he came to at the end of the game, asked you what you thought of the performance.
Yeah. I make sure when I shake the hands, like, you know what? I never get too excited about the officials, because most of them are teenagers, right? It's U13 for God's sakes. Like we don't need to be going crazy over it, right? He misses a call. Like I'm not going to freak out at my kid when he serves a pizza up the middle, even though we teach him not to do it. It's going to happen in the game. So is the ref going to miss a call? Of course. So, you try to say, guys, like mistakes happen. Like, kids get upset. And I said, do you want the coach to yell at you how you just yelled at the ref? Well, you wouldn't like that, would you? He just made a mistake. He's not purposely saying, ha ha, I'm not going to call a penalty on you. Right.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I always go, hey, you know what? Really good game. But yeah, I've had 2 officials that asked, hey, what did you think of the game? And just by fluke, because I think we were leaving the ice at the same time, just when we were coming off, because we got to play at that brand new Spruce Grove Arena, the Thompson Family Arena.
Yep.
Unbelievable facility, by the way. Like the kids were loving it. Big dressing rooms, so they feel like they're in there. They got like showers and stuff like that they're like individual stalls and stuff. So they thought it was unreal.
Yeah.
So, but just as where the refs room was, where I had to go off the ice, just happened to be right there. And he just was like, hey, because he had told me, and I said, hey, man, well, good luck, enjoyed. And same with one of the lines when it was his first game too. And like, I think he missed a call. Like, it was a blowout, right? So I would have said, you know what? In a blowout game, no one's going to care if you guys wave off an icing or 2.
Yeah.
Right. Because at that point, like, it doesn't matter. Just let's speed up the game a bit here. But overall, I thought the kids did really well. Like, man, it's like my son's going to get into officiating next year. And I've always said, and I know it'd be very hard to do it just from a numbers game because there's too many kids and there's not enough games. I think every kid should have to ref 2 or 3 games, and then their parents would sit in the crowd and they'd be like, oh, I don't like it when someone yells at the ref who happens to be my kid. Guess what? Then less parents would yell at the refs. Like, because you still see it. You got 13, 14-year-old officials at U11 and parents are freaking out. U11. Like, what are you doing?
From my understanding, there's a shortage of refs.
Of course,
I think
there
they
is.
would. Yeah,
Because why would you
obviously for that reason?
Why would you want to officiate?
Yeah.
Like, and we had too many parents who don't stand up and say, "Hey, Bob, it's a 13-year-old kid. Tone it down." Right? No one does that.
Yeah.
Right? Like, you need more people. Somebody overreacts once. Just, hey, he's a 13-year-old, 14. I don't care how old they are. Like, what are you doing? He missed a call. Like,
big deal.
Big deal.
Yeah.
Like unless it's like a last minute of a game and the guy chops someone down on a breakaway and you don't call a penalty. Are you really directly impacting the game? Because I don't know how many teams. I don't even know if anybody tracks what their power play percentage is. I'm sure there's somebody out there, but let's be honest here. Is it really going to be that good for most of these teams? I know mine isn't.
My son actually, he reffed, and it's pretty easy now that they have half ice. I'm trying to think of when they called a penalty.
Yeah, well,
I don't think it was a penalty. I think they just talked to the kid.
Yes,
talked to him on the bench.
In half ice, he's supposed to leave the ice, right? And then and somebody else comes on. That's what happens, right? And then he's supposed to miss the shift, which I remember, like, it's funny because I remember the first kids that get a penalty and they just think it's like the end of the world, right? They think they're in trouble. Like, dude, it's all good. Like, they just escort you off. Someone else comes on, and away you go.
Yeah.
It's not a big deal. So, I think it's just something that you don't need to remind people, but there probably should be a sign, honestly. Like, think about it when you walk in areas where it's
There
like
should be a lot of signs in minor hockey.
it's like there should
I've
be.
seen signs
Right?
that
Like
don't
there should
work.
be some that's like a big fluorescent sign. Don't yell at the refs.
Yeah.
They make mistakes.
How about just don't yell anything negative?
Well,
how about that?
Well, that helps too, man.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like,
it's true. You know what? We actually this year, our coaching staff, we made a contract for the parents and the kids to sign about certain levels. And the one was like, we don't yell at the refs. Right. And that was the one. And you know what? My parent group's unreal. We've had no issues in the crowd.
but do we not? We sign that as parents. I remember signing
That's
that
what I'm
kids.
saying.
No, but just every association has that. I think for all their parents and all their, there's a code of conduct that's
And it's not just hockey. I want to point it out. I've been to soccer games. I've watched, like, there's lunatics who just can't control their emotion when something goes wrong for their team. Right. And especially when somehow their little Johnny or their little Jill gets hit and it's just like mama bear, dad bear, and they're going, I'm like, you know what? Guess what? If you put your kids into contact sports, there's going to be contact. Sometimes it's inadvertent. Sometimes it isn't. Right. And the vast majority of it evens out over time, right? Obviously there's some very unfortunate plays, right? It can be dangerous when you get into U18. Like, there's contact, and you know what? Kids are going to get hit in awkward positions. It sucks, but that's not the ref's fault, right? And even, like, unless you have a kid who you've played one team all year and there's some kid who's just out there running around cheap shotting, then to me, I don't think you have great coaching, because I think the coaches should sit him down and say, hey, buddy, that's not how the job is to separate the guy from the puck. The job isn't to run his head into the boards, right? And I think at times I think the best thing they did was take contact out of the lower tiers.
really.
Yes, because some of the lower tiers were the worst. Go play men's league.
I've just seen some people in general, like you said. I mean, I've seen coaches that encourage that. I think hitting is obviously a part of the game. And,
you can rub them out, and you can, but to go head hunting, but that's my point. In the lower tiers, Brownie, but like, look at men's league. When you had like tier 1, 2, 3 of men's league, right? Lots of guys played at maybe a junior level or AAA or whatever. And you have rubbing contact, no one gets mad. When you get into the lower levels, I found that's when it was way worse. Guys are freaking out. They're swinging. Somebody touches them. And I'm like, dude, they didn't even hit you.
Yeah.
And you're losing your marbles. So it's like they can't take it. I don't get it. And I remember when I was helping out coaching. Oh, Jesus, a long time ago. I was 26 or 7. And I remember and it was not a high level, like it was helping out one of the bosses. He was helping out his kid. He didn't really know. Hey, can you come and help out? Yeah, sure. So it's just, and I remember going to these games. I can't remember what tier it was, like 3 or 4. And it was contact. Might even be 4 or 5. And there's lots of kids who don't have great skill, but they're just like, and their coach is cheering on big hits like they just scored a goal. And I'm like, what are you doing? You're just creating like Thunderdome. That's not what it's supposed to be.
But I think, Gregor, if you add it when they're younger, it's a skill no different than crossing over, skate. Like all the skills that you're teaching as a coach, tactically or individually, is hitting is the same thing. I mean, I think we got it wrong as far as putting them in a week camp before tryouts and being like, here, you got it now. You got it all figured out. I think that if you bring it in at a younger age and you teach, the angling and going through the hands and toes going, hitting where your toes are going the right way, you're going to have less injuries because you're teaching the skill. They're getting an understanding of where they are in relation to the ice and where the danger areas are. I think we're missing it by just thinking that it's going to be a 1 week, 2 week, or even a month. We just don't spend enough time on it. Is my thinking.
Yeah, that's probably fair, but I don't know. We'd have to talk to parents at U15. Are you seeing a rash of crazy cheap shots? So does it matter? Like what?
Well,
if
I mean,
we're not.
yeah.
So do we need it at U13 then?
But even at a young age, I mean, what I find too is that some of the lower tiers, you might have a low tier kid just because of where he's at his skill set, but then you might have a pretty skilled hockey player that just chose to not play at a higher level.
But now
and he's licking his lips.
But now they play non-contact with that.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So you can either choose to play contact. Yeah. Now you have the choice. You can play contact or you play non-contact. So, because there's lots of kids like, hey, I don't think I'm a good player, but I'm not going to go to junior. I'm not going to go to university. So I don't want to play contact. I don't have a problem with that.
Yeah.
Right. But now if you sign up for contact, you have to understand that that means there's a chance that you might have your head down once and you're going to get hammered. That's just part of it. So don't complain after the fact. And just because your head's down doesn't mean it's a cheap shot. Not always. So the one thing I've noticed is kids have their head down a lot. And so I really focus on in drills and practice. We do lots of drills with head up all the time. Like, get your head up, right? It's not, can you do the stick handlings? Can you do it with your head up?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
If your head's up, A, you can make more plays, but B, you can protect yourself better when you get to the contact level.
Yeah. And you know what, that goes, I think, along the lines of, some of the drills, you know, as a coach, you don't need a lot of drills, right? The drills, you can have drills that you can build on, but you can have drills that, honestly, the less they're thinking of the pattern and the more they're efficient on working on the skill in the drill, whether it's a crossover. And as you get good at it, then maybe add a coach that has his fingers up and the player has to count his digits so that you're doing the same pattern, the same drill, but your eyes are up. And, I find working with coaches, that's kind of, a sticking point on some coaches because they feel, I need drills. It's like, no, you need about 10 drills, 10 good drills, and you should be good.
Yeah, very true. Brownie, have yourself a good one. We will have lots to discuss next week on the show.
Awesome.
There you go. That's Sean Brown. Let's get to the Con Man and a Sports 1440 update brought to you by Fountain Tire. You can meet all your car needs and more with their digital vehicle report. They just don't tell you what your car needs. They show you. Book your appointment today, fountaintire.com.
The Sports 1440 update.
Ontario's Megan Oldham claimed a bronze in the women's ski slopestyle event at the Winter Olympics earlier today. In Italy, the 24-year-old skier suffered a crash in her second run, but came back with a score of 76.46 in her third run, giving Canada's 2 medals pro so far. Bronze on the ice, Canada's women knocked off Czechia 5-1. It was costly, though. In the win, they lost captain Marie-Philippe Blanc in the first period. Also, Aaron Ambrose in the third. Next up for Canada will be the United States tomorrow, just afternoon. In the association tonight, you got the Lakers hosting the Thunder, Grizz take on the Warriors, Nuggets battle the Cavs, Bucks in Orlando, Heat hosting the Jazz, Pistons in Charlotte, and the Nets taking on the Bulls. Coming up in hour 3 of the Jason Gregor Show, we'll hear Cam Pate's 2-minute warning, ask 5 questions, and recap the Super Bowl with TSN's Farhan Lalji. I'm Connor Halley. This has been a Sports 1440 update.
Sports 1440, Stingray Radio Station. CKJR broadcasts from West Edmonton Mall and Wetaskiwin.
Download the free Stingray music app and listen wherever you go.
Ooh, girl, the way you touch that thermostat, it really turns me on. Like a heat exchanger, sensual phenomenon. Want to play your favorite song when we turn the heat on, like a legacy of love.
Legacy Heating and Cooling keeps your Valentine sizzling hot. You can afford to shower your Valentine with affection because Legacy offers no payments and no interest for 1 year on your new furnace. And that's how you build your legacy of love. Legacy Heating and Cooling.
Roses are red, violets are blue. A pizza my heart will certainly do. Nothing says I love you quite like a Papa John's pizza. This Valentine's week, enjoy a special Pizza My Heart thin cuts pizza from Papa John's for only $17.99. Check it out at papajohns.ca or on the Papa John's app. We don't want to break your heart, so the pizza arrives uncut. Available for a limited time only. Better ingredients, better pizza. Papa John's.
You know what would be even better than winning gold?
Okay, I'll bite.
Winning a gold medal made of Wilhauk beef jerky.
Athletes do get hungry, and they could use a snack on the podium. I think I'll start a petition.
Really?
No. Now pass the Wilhauk and turn up the games.
For a truly Canadian snack.
Welcome back,
cheer on
Sports
our
1440,
truly Canadian
sports1440.ca,
athletes.
YouTube,
Wilhauk beef
Facebook,
jerky,
X,
made with
Instagram,
Alberta
3
pride
o'clock.
right here in
Welcome back,
Leduc.
Sports 1440, Sports 14.
Entertainment is an innovative market leader across Western Canada. Properties include the Spruce Grove Saints, the Junior Prospects Hockey League, Silent Rides Charter Company,
40.
the Hockey Super League, and the newly launched Female Super League. Silent Ice also owns the Western Hockey League Seattle Thunderbirds and operates the Morinville AAA Arena, the Silent Ice Center. A new state-of-the-art entertainment facility in Nisku features 2 sheets of ice, a 1,600-seat arena, as well as Summit Restaurant. Learn more at silentice.com.
Hi, Mike here from Northgate Chevrolet Buick GMC. Free trips,
free iPads, a barbecue, a wood stove, the #1 dealer in the world. What? Who cares? How about no pressure, a great deal, finance rates as low as 0%, trade values you can be happy with, and an indoor showroom. And we're pretty good people. Stop in and see us today, 13215 97th Street, or visit us online at northgategm.com.
These days, it's all about who you know. And that's why it's the perfect time to save at the Bricks Friends and Family Sale. Upgrade your living room in time for the big game and score free delivery on TVs over 50 inches, like a Samsung 85-inch 4K Smart TV for just $9.99. And save up to $1,200 off sofas and sectionals. And mix and match and save up to $1,000 off 2 or more major appliances. Some exclusions apply. Check out the Brick in Edmonton South Common, West Edmonton Mall, North Side on 137th, and downtown near the Ice District.
I'm Rick Showers from No Bull RV, and even though it's a few months past Thanksgiving, I want to give thanks right now. This is the time of year when so many people go to the new RV show and buy their new RVs.
All the new RV stores are bragging about the latest makes and models.
That's right, Bob. Those beautiful state-of-the-art RVs are brand new right up until the time they leave the showroom. Then they're used. Just like every quality used RV on our lot. Somebody pays full price at the RV show or at the new RV store, and in a matter of seconds, it's worth tens of thousands of dollars less just because they picked it up.
Where does all that money go, Rick?
It stays in our customers' pockets, Bob, because we sell those same RVs just a few years later. If it wasn't for new RV buyers, we'd be out of business. That's why we give thanks every year. You make it all possible.
And that's
NoBullRV.ca. Saskatchewan boy who grew up loving and playing sports. At least we think he grew up. Listen to Kevin Carius weekday mornings from 7 to 11 on Edmonton's home for sports, Sports 1440.
A weekend Valentine's Day calls for something special. Swing by Bunches Flowers for an amazing bouquet that delivers on romance. It's the local choice for affordable luxury that will make their Saturday night perfect. Bunchesflowers.com.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Leading Edge Physio, from weekend warriors to professional athletes, kids playing soccer to grandparents in the garden, rotator cuff tears and tendonitis to post-surgical knees and hips. We fix your body. Life shouldn't hurt. LeadingEdgePhysio.com.
This is Sports 1440, where Edmonton talks sports.
On YouTube, Facebook, and X.
Here's Jason Gregor.
Brought to you by PlayAlberta.ca.
.411, welcome back. Jason Gregor, Connor Hanley, Sports 1440, sports1440.ca, YouTube, Facebook, X, and Instagram. Hope you are having a fantastic Monday afternoon. We were talking about injuries in hockey, and it's always brutal. There is a GoFundMe page out there right now for young Ethan Barry from the Strathcona Warriors. Played U18, and Ethan was playing in a game last week and got hit and went to the boards awkwardly, and unfortunately couldn't get up. Was rushed to the Stollery, and now he's got severe spinal cord injury. They've set up a GoFundMe page for him and his family. If you want to check it out, it's up on my X page. So thoughts for all his teammates and everybody, and the kids playing against him at that point. It's never a good situation at all. So hopefully Ethan will get the best of care, and his rehabilitation can go as smoothly as possible, because it's never great. Spinal cord injuries, of course, are can be very, very daunting to overcome, and so it could be a long road. So hopefully he'll have lots of support, and it looks like his GoFundMe has gone very well so far. So for people out there in Strathcona, or in that area, or somebody's just a fan of hockey, maybe wants to support him and his family, you can check that out. Gregor Show is always brought to you by playalberta.ca, where you can get in the game. Remember, tomorrow, Tuesday, and up for grabs in Lotto Max 40, $40 million. Good luck at playalberta.ca. We got the 2-minute warning coming up in a sec. Hey, Gregs, I'm curious, what are the overtime rules at the Olympics? It's actually, remember, I don't know if people remember, but when Crosby scored the golden goal, do you know what the overtime rules were back then? 4-on-4. And it will be 3-on-3 this time around. So you got McDavid, you got McKinnon. Ooh, I wouldn't mind seeing a shift with those two on the ice. Sorry, Oiler fans are spoiled. You see Draisaitl and McDavid and Bouchard. Like, that is, you'd be hard-pressed to find a much better 3-on-3 in the NHL. There's some other teams that are close for sure. But, in the Olympics, you're probably going to have a McKinnon, McDavid, Makar combination, possibly. You throw in after that, geez, I don't know who you're going to put on the ice. You got a lot of options, right? Sidney Crosby could be out there. Mitch Marner. Thomas Harley can really move on the back end. So they'll have lots of options, no question. But it will be 3-on-3 in case you ever get to a game in the Olympics for overtime. So that is the one thing that's different from 2010. Hi, Greg's. Toronto Minor Hockey did a study that they took out hitting in U13. Emergency visits went down 80%. Yeah. Well, that's why I agree that I'm not sold that you need contact at a younger age. I do believe that you should allow and differentiate between body contact and body checking. Body contact is allowed even at U13. I think a lot of people don't understand the difference, right? You're allowed to rub someone out, right? That's contact where, you rub, you kind of put your rear end onto their hands, you take the puck away you go. That's allowed, right? Body checking, very different. And so you can, I think, teach your players to have body contact legally that won't be called. Now, of course, every ref is going to have a different interpretation of a certain play. Just like every coach will have a different interpretation. Every player has a different interpretation of what they see and what they think they're seeing at that moment. But and even when you get to U15, right, if your kids are playing tier 4, tier 5, tier 6, I get why they don't need body checking. I can understand it. And even there's kids now who play tier 1 that have no contact. They're a pretty good player. They're just like, you know what? Maybe they're not that big. Maybe they're not that aggressive. They just don't want to play it. Fine. I don't have a problem with it. Lots of good players are like, you know what? I just want to play. I don't want to necessarily worry about it. And away you go. And those who want to, they have the option. It's great. I like it. Yeah. Gregor, you're bang on. There's been studies on this. Places that introduce check-in earlier don't have any reduction in injuries at a later age compared to organizations that introduce it later on. I know, exactly. That's what I'm saying. I don't think it's necessary. I don't think it's needed, right? It's just like half ice. Watching kids in U7 and U9 play half ice, I'm like, why the hell didn't we do this way earlier? It's ridiculous to think that you used to play in U7 and U9 full ice hockey. Like, it's wild to think about. So, things change. So, that's how you go. Hey, Gregor, are the Elks expected to announce all of those contracts that were verbally agreed to? When is that? Well, free agency is tomorrow officially in the CFL, and that's when a lot of those signings will be made official for them. I would expect the Elks to have their free agent players. My understanding is there's going to be press conferences for lots of them coming in town on Wednesday, the 11th. You've got the coaches in this week. So lots of big news. You had, I don't know if you've talked about it or seen it, but the CFL, the coach of the year banquet is going to be in Edmonton this year. And it's going to be, I think it's March 25th if I'm not mistaken, and the Elks are hosting. But it's not just going to be for the CFL coach there. There's going to be lots of other coaches that are celebrated that go throughout this. Right? It's kind of there's the combine comes to Edmonton on the 27th to the 29th. And there's the Coach of the Year. There's the Hugh Campbell Distinguished Leadership Award. There's a new honor, the Ted Govea Football Operations Award. Of course, Ted passed away too soon this past, passed in 2025. So that's going on. There's going to be Football Alberta will honor several coaches from across the province who are shaping the next generation of football players and cheer squad members as well. So there's actual big dinner that goes on the 25th of March at the Westin. So you can get tickets for that. You can get tables. The Coach of the Year finalists, Corey Mace, Jason Moss. So could have Moss back in there. And then the Hugh Campbell Distinguished Leadership Award. It recognizes an individual who's demonstrated great leadership in making significant contributions to the game. And the new Ted Govea Football Operations Award will be done in his honor, and it will recognize a club football operations personnel person who is a outstanding achievement in scouting, player identification, roster building, and leadership. So that's going to be in Edmonton. So there'll be lots of CFL talk with the Combine and the Coach of the Year celebration. It's smart to do it in one city. Why would you do it in two different cities? So I think this is going to be something you're going to see now as a mainstay in the CFL. You have the big Coach of the Year celebration dinner, followed up by the Combine. So whichever city's hosting it is going to get both. And that's a good thing to have, I think, for the CFL. The more opportunities they have to get noticed during the offseason is smart. That's a lot of the other leagues do. You don't want to go dark for too long. And that's why I think Elks Nation, if you look at the numbers of Elks Nation for CFL fans and what they're doing there with Declan and Eddie Steele and others throughout the offseason, the numbers have been very favorable. I think there's lots of CFL fans who want to have more content year-round. Now, let's get to the 2-minute warning with Cam Tate, brought to you by Legacy Heating and Cooling, home of the no payments. No interest for 1 year on your furnace. Stay warm all winter. LegacyHeating.ca. Here is Cam Tate.
All right, let's dive in. Super Bowl Sunday, Seahawks versus Patriots. Final score, 29-13. And yeah, some folks are calling it a snoozer. I get it, but I'm not buying that narrative. Sure, it wasn't a fireworks show, but the first half, that was championship football, my friends. Defense, defense, defense. 9 points total in the first half. That's the kind of gritty play that builds dynasties. Now, the Patriots, they had their own sturdy defense going, but man, they just couldn't get on the board in the first half. And let's not forget the what-if moment. Julian Love's pick of Drake May's pass on the Seahawks' 27-yard line. 8.5 minutes left. Score sitting at 19-7. If that play doesn't happen, we're probably having a very different conversation right now. But hey, I know I'm in the minority here. Our poll says only 12% of you really enjoyed the game, while 28% thought it was too defensive. Fair enough. We all watch for different reasons, right? Now, shifting gears to something truly inspiring, Sakers Acres, home of the world's longest hockey game. Brenda emailed in with some updates, and let me tell you, these folks are absolute warriors. The score as of 3:30 this afternoon, Team Cure 664, Team Cure 661. It's a nail-biter, but the real win? They've raised $575,000 of their $1 million goal to fight cancer. Incredible. And these players? They're out there with blisters, lace bite, and some even using their sticks as canes. But they keep going because, as Brenda said, cancer patients don't get a choice. That's perspective, isn't it? So hats off to the volunteers, scorekeepers, refs, Zamboni drivers, kitchen crews, medical teams, maintenance, you name it. You're the real MVPs. All right, 2-minute warning here. Gregor, Haley, Kruger, we'll get to you tomorrow. This is Cam Tate. Sports 1440.
I didn't have much of an issue with the Super Bowl. Obviously, it was not overly riveting if you like offense, but Seattle's defense, the Patriots they couldn't contain them early on, and by the time they started to get some points, it was kind of too late at that point. Like the fourth quarter was the most offense we saw in the game. And Cons, I know you're a big football guy. What'd you make of the game?
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was great. The first half obviously was a bit of a snoozer. They had their chances too. Like Sam Darnold missed Jackson Smith the Jigbo. Could have been a huge play there. We obviously saw Kenneth Walker's big touchdown get called back. At that point, it was over. Probably just would have locked him in as MVP at the time and taken away any debate. But I thought it was a fine game. The Seattle Seahawks defense was absolutely incredible. And, you go back and we've seen in the past, like the Rams were able to have success against them, but no one else really has. They've just been able to be so good. And, I'm always going to enjoy it the last game of the season. But just getting a chance to see that defense go out there and do their thing and how they've assembled it, it's kind of perfect because it hasn't been through one way. It's been the draft, free agency. The Seahawks have made some really big trades in the last couple of years here to build up that team. So I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a fun game and just kind of confirmed, I think, what a lot of us thought with the New England Patriots. They're a good team, but they're not yet a Super Bowl worthy team. Like they're just not that good yet. Still some things they can shore up on the offensive line. And hey, they're in year 2 of a rookie quarterback's contract. So they're going to have that money to work with in that cap space. And Mike Vrabel's only going to get this team better. But if the Seahawks were the best team all year, they deserved it.
They definitely did deserve it. I'm interested about the Patriots because, hey, they beat all the teams that were in front of them. That's all you can do. They got to the Super Bowl, and clearly Seattle was the better team. Would Denver have been different if they had their starting quarterback? We'll never know. Maybe the game's different if the Denver coach actually kicks a field goal when the weather's nice. But I look at the Patriots. They're going to have a tougher schedule next year. We already know that, right? I'll be curious to see how they react. Like the fact that they had 2 rookie offensive linemen, that bodes well to think that, man, we can protect our young quarterback for years with 2 rookies who are only going to get better. Like at times they looked like they got overwhelmed in that game, Cons, and that's going to happen when you go up against the best of the best. And I don't think anybody had a better consistent D-line pressure all year long than Seattle. It'd be hard to find one. But that's good experience for the Patriots. I think to me, the most obvious thing I got from that, if I'm a Patriots fan, they need some better receivers. If they want to compete with the big boys, they need better receivers.
Yeah, I would agree with you for sure. And then the guys they had did an admirable job. Matt Collins made a really nice grab. We saw Booty and Diggs throughout the year do a good job, but you can always upgrade at that position for sure. And you're right. I mean, instead of that last place schedule, it's only a couple games, but in that division with the Bills, that could be enough, to fall from first to second. And then all of a sudden having home field advantage, you're playing a wild card round game and you're going on the road. And that makes it a little bit tougher, that task to get into the playoffs. They've got some tough teams. Like they're going to play the AFC West next year. So we know the Chiefs are going to be improved. The Chargers are healthy. They're competitive. The Broncos, I'm sure, are hoping to have a healthy Bo Nix and get some revenge. They get the Bears. They get the Lions. They get the Packers. They get the Vikings. It's going to be a tough schedule. They also, get the Raiders who beat them this year. So I think it's going to be interesting to see what they do, obviously, in the draft. And, I think you have to look at Will Campbell, their left tackle. I mean, he was getting kind of beaten pretty badly in the playoffs when he had to go up against these elite rushers. And that was the knock on him when he was drafted. Like, is the arm length going to be a concern? That's something we talked about on Fantasy Frenzy earlier today already. I don't know if I necessarily believe that. I think you can overcome that with technique and preparation, footwork, all that sort of thing, kind of like Rashawn Slater. But the discussion is there. If you could add a tackle and maybe kick him inside, would you do it? So, yeah, I think there's some good questions for the Patriots this offseason. But remember, a couple of years ago, they were terrible. They drafted Drake May early on. They drafted Campbell early on. They're a team on the rise for sure. And I think, teams, players, free agents, you're going to want to go play for Mike Vrabel and that coaching staff. So they'll be a good team next year, but I think they're due for a fall off.
What do you think is going to happen with Walker in Seattle?
Hey, the man. It's interesting because he showed he could be the bell cow back. Like if called upon, and it's easier to do it, I think, a couple games, obviously, than a full season. You need to split the load a little bit, but when needed, Charbonnet goes down. He has the 3 touchdown performance. He did absolutely what he had to do. And they brought up the Le'Veon Bell comparison. I think Collinsworth did in the broadcast last night. That was perfect. To get the ball almost come to a complete stop while your offensive line gets you that hole, and then to burst through it and pick up the acceleration like he did. Like, this guy ran a sub 4.4 40 time. This guy has the speed. So I'm a big fan of him. You know, we talked about it a lot in fantasy. The only thing that really gave you hesitation about him is Zach Charbonnet jumping in there and taking those goal line carries. But I think he's going to be a very well compensated man, especially coming off a Super Bowl MVP performance. Seattle has to keep him. They just have to.
Yeah, well, God, 100% they have to. So I would I'll be interesting to see kind of how they do. And if he goes to market, there'll be lots of teams interested, right?
A lot of teams with money to spend.
Oh, yeah. Big time. We'll come back. Farhan Lalji joins us next on The Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
Roses are red, violets are blue. A pizza my heart will certainly do. Nothing says I love you quite like a Papa John's pizza. This Valentine's week, enjoy a special Pizza My Heart thin crust pizza from Papa John's for only $17.99. Check it out at papajohns.ca or on the Papa John's app. We don't want to break your heart, so the pizza arrives uncut. Available for a limited time only. Better ingredients, better pizza. Papa John's.
Need a new ride for road trips, errands, or just life on the go? Go Auto offers a massive selection with over 15,000 new and used vehicles to choose from. With over 70 locations across Western Canada, finding your next ride has never been easier. Whether it's a roomy SUV for the family, a sleek car for the open road, or a rugged truck for your weekend adventures, you'll find it here at a price you'll love. Explore thousands of vehicles today at goauto.ca.
Top quality flooring, locally owned, and Canadian products from Beaulieu. Yeah, that's CFI.
CFI what?
No, CFI, Custom Floors Inc.
From free estimate to professional installation, contact Custom Floors Inc. at customfloorsinc.ca.
At Fountain Tire, success is a team effort. They're committed to their team members and their customers. And that means treating your vehicle like it's their own and finding solutions that suit your needs. Because whatever the road brings ahead, they're on it with you. Visit fountaintire.com today.
If you manage or lead a team, join your peers April 14th to 17th at the Banff Management Course. PA Douglas Training invites you to 3 days of immersive leadership development in beautiful Banff, Alberta. Learn how to manage conflict, motivate and influence others, strengthen teamwork, and improve productivity. Proudly Canadian, PA Douglas has trained over 150,000 professionals. Registration includes 3 nights at the Banff Springs Hotel, breakfast, select meals, refreshments, and course materials. Register now at padouglas.ca.
His name? Paul Del Vecchio, better known as Pauly D from TV's hit reality series Jersey Shore. Now he's bringing the party to the venue at River Cree Resort and Casino. Get ready for DJ Pauly D. Voted as one of the best DJs in the U.S., his passionate, high-energy sets have made him one of the most sought-after DJs in the world. DJ Pauly D, March 7th. Hurry, get your tickets now at rivercreeresort.com.
River Cree Resort and Casino. Excitement? Bet on it.
I'm Rick Showers from No Bull RV, and even though it's a few months past Thanksgiving, I want to give thanks right now. This is the time of year when so many people go to the new RV show and buy their new RVs.
All the new RV stores are bragging about the latest makes and models.
That's right, Bob. Those beautiful state-of-the-art RVs are brand new right up until the time they leave the showroom. Then they're used. Just like every quality used RV on our lot, somebody pays full price at the RV show or at the new RV store, and in a matter of seconds, it's worth tens of thousands of dollars less just because they picked it up.
Where does all that money go, Rick?
It stays in our customers' pockets, Bob, because we sell those same RVs just a few years later. If it wasn't for new RV buyers, we'd be out of business. That's why we give thanks every year. You make it all possible.
And that's No Bull.
NoBullRV.ca.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Culligan. For all your residential water needs, your local water treatment company, more than just big bottles. Culligan.com.
The Jason Gregor Show, the best of Edmonton sports talk and beyond. This is Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
4:33. Welcome back. Jason Gregor, Connor Halley, Sports 1440, sports1440.ca, YouTube, Facebook, X, and Instagram. Looking at there's still no word yet on Poulin's injury and how potentially serious, or maybe it's not serious, so we'll have to see. But she obviously left the game in the first period, did not return. Canada did win 5-1 over Czechia, but they take on the USA tomorrow. It is a meaningful game because if you win that game, then you get yourself a better position in the playoffs. But it's not the do-all end-all, as most of us think they're going to meet again in the gold medal game. But man, if Poulin is out, that could be brutal. Also, Connor had mentioned about Ambrose also got injured in that game, so could be a tough one for the Canadian women. If you missed it earlier, Canada did pick up their second medal of the games today, as Megan Oldman took a bronze in the women's free ski slope style event, which is like, I don't know, man. Like, you watch some of these and they make it look easy, like when you're skiing backwards and then they go over into the jump and they're spinning around. But you're like, just try to go down the hill backwards. Well, maybe pick a small hill to start. But I know that seems like it's no big deal. And I'm sure it's like anything. Hey, if you can skate forwards and get backwards skating, you feel like, okay, it's no problem. But then you mix in a jump. It's a different thing, and it's pretty entertaining. And so good for Oldman. She was obviously fired up to get on the podium today, as she should have happened earlier today. I want to say around like that was, I don't know, 8 o'clock, 7:45 ish, right? Of course, with the time zone difference. If you're a night owl, you're coming home from the late shift. Boom. Remember, the day starts around midnight, 1 o'clock a.m. is when the activities get going over in Italy for the Olympics. And Canada's first game for the men hockey will be on Thursday at 8:40 Edmonton time. So the gold medal game, if they make it for the men, will be on Sunday, February 22nd. Get up early. 6:10 a.m. Edmonton time on a Sunday. Which now, when Crosby scored the goal in the goal, was that not a Sunday as well? Connor Halley, if my memory is serving me correct,
I thought it was, yeah. Because we went out this Saturday night, me personally, and had a good time, and they just kept it going into the morning. So sounds about right. It made for a tough Monday, I recall.
Oh, yeah. I think there was lots of people who had the day off.
You know what? Sorry, I'm thinking about the rushing one, Sochi. But yeah, I think you're all still right about it. Yeah.
I think it was. Now I'm looking. Hey, Gregs, when does Canada play the U.S.? They play tomorrow at
noon,
12:10 Edmonton time. So maybe you want to go out for lunch. Plan your lunch accordingly. It'll be a 12:10 puck drop. The women tomorrow, Canada versus the U.S. We're going to get to, why don't we do 5 questions now, Cons? Yeah, let's get to 5 questions. Brought to you by The Brick, where, guess what? Your final day of family and friends, where you can save up to 25% off bedroom, dining, and fireplaces. And if you go in-store only tonight to The Brick, you can get up to 50% off clearance mattresses and up to 60% off clearance, scratch, and dent appliances. You can get some unbelievable deals at your last night tonight at The Brick.
It's time for 5 questions on the Jason Gregor Show.
All right, Jason, question number 1. You saw the lines for Canada at practice over in Italy. What did you make of them?
Yeah, I don't put much stock in, to be honest. It's the first practice. You're going to have some lines. We talked about it last week. I thought for sure Celebrini would play with McDavid. That's what I would have done. And I don't mind the Tom Wilson. Now, obviously, how guys perform. Like, look at what their first line was last year and how McDavid's line changed a lot throughout the tournament. I think that's probably what we're going to see here. So it's going to kind of go in a game-by-game situation.
Yeah, I mean, you put it out there who you'd like to see on McDavid's wing with Celebrini. I said Tom Wilson. That was my pick there. So for that one, it's interesting. Crosby, Stone, I feel like at one point those two guys could just hem you in your own end and work it around and just grind you down. It'd be interesting. But yeah, like you said, it's early. We'll see how it actually plays out. Question number 2 for you: who do you think will finish 1, 2, 3 in scoring for the round robin play?
Go ahead.
Well, you know what? The Canadians have the top 3 in the NHL. And I think, you look at that group, I think there's a chance for the team to put up some points. The Czechs will be tough. I think Swiss will play them hard. France could be point day. So I'm going to say McDavid, 1, McKinnon, 2, and Celebrini playing with McDavid, 3.
So Canada's going to have all top 3 scores?
Oh, yeah. Not biased at all.
I'm going to go. Well, I think the American pool. I'm just trying to think which American. I'll go Jack Eichel is going to be in the top 3. I think Connor McDavid. And I'll go David Pastrnak.
All right. Question number 3, early on still. But any events in Italy you've enjoyed more than you thought you would?
Skiathlon, no question.
Big air for me. It's on all the time with X Games and stuff. I don't really get into it. I really have enjoyed it at these games. Question number 4. If Kenneth Walker wasn't named MVP, who would have been your pick for MVP of the game yesterday?
Well, didn't I pick Walker last week? I think I did.
But if they didn't select him, was there anyone else you think had an MVP worthy game?
Well, I guess you'd have to go with the kicker. Myers went 5 for 5. Now, none of them were overly long. I think his longest one was 41 yards, but it was a Super Bowl record for the most. So I guess if I had to pick someone else, it would have been him.
Yeah, I mean, defense, special teams, I thought would have been a good one for what they did. Chenanu Osu scored a touchdown. So I guess I'll go with that one. But Kenneth Walker, to me, was the clear pick. Final question for you. As usual, mixed reaction to Bad Bunny at the Super Bowl. But if you had the decision to what you would do next year, it's in Southern California, SoFi Stadium. Who would be hitting the stage for the season finale?
Oh, man. Now, I'll be honest. I didn't watch the halftime show because I was recording my daily face-off pod with Merrick. So, and I asked my wife and son what they thought. And I don't get to, I've never gotten like, oh my God, if I don't like it, I just turn it off. Like, I don't have to go on social media and say it sucked or, whatever. I think it's kind of wasted energy, but I saw people are going to like it, and shockingly, not everybody's going to like it. Like, has there ever been a halftime show that everyone liked? Like, you have multiple different generations of viewers, and everybody, and they've done studies on this. The music you loved in your late teens, early adult years that's usually your favorite music for life because you resonate with some of the greatest memories of your time, right? You don't have as much pressure. It's kind of fun. You got your friends. I get it. So, of course, you're always going to have different ones. What would I do for next year's finale? Oh, God. I like it when they have multiple ones where they collaborate. So I would probably want a collaboration. And I really don't care who the artist is. I'm just going to say that. Like halftime show of things I care about is pretty low, to be honest. Now, if it's a good one, like I still remember The Weeknd. You know what I remember most about The Weeknd was more so when he's looking through the mirror. Like, I thought it was hilarious as he's going through that house. Kind of remind you of a House of Horrors, but it was like a mirror house. That was hilarious, Cons. And there was memes from that. I just thought that was funny. Now, he's a really good singer, right? Lady Gaga's been good. Obviously, I liked it when they had Snoop Dogg. I like lots of different genres of music. So I can't think of one where I'd say, oh my God, that would be it. But like, hey, if you want to give me a Metallica at one point, I wouldn't be opposed to it.
Yeah. Well, and The Who was like the last rock halftime show we had.
Yeah.
And that was 2010. So let's go back to it. I'm with you. And because it's in LA, I looked at some bands. You could use Metallica because they formed in LA, then kind of went to the Bay Area. So it still works. You got the Red Hot Chili Peppers. You could do Motley Crue, Rage Against the Machine. That's what I would do. I'm with you. Those are the 4 bands I had circled. LA area groups, do rock. That's what I would go for.
Yeah. Like, to me, there's just a few people that I'd be like, I prefer not to see them. That would probably be my choice. But like, so I'm thinking, so Bad Bunny was last year, and then it was what? Will.i.am the year before, and Usher. So yeah, I would Bruno Mars. Did Bruno Mars do it before that?
Yep. You had Rihanna in there.
Yeah. Gaga's done it. Yeah. So I don't know. Yeah. I like, Lady Gaga was part of it yesterday, so she's probably not going to be doing it again. But yeah. Any listener have anybody? Give me your best halftime show that you would like to see next year. But I like the collaborations. I'm just going to say it. I like get a few different ones in there. I think it makes it more entertaining. Quick break. We'll come back. Farhan Lalji next. And the Gregor Show presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
Roses are red, violets are blue. A pizza my heart will certainly do. Nothing says I love you quite like a Papa John's pizza. This Valentine's week, enjoy a special Pizza My Heart thin crust pizza from Papa John's for only $17.99. Check it out at papajohns.ca or on the Papa John's app. We don't want to break your heart, so the pizza arrives uncut. Available for a limited time only. Better ingredients, better pizza. Papa John's.
Action Electrical's projects team takes the field, folks, ready to execute the entire play for new commercial builds.
Absolutely. They're masters of design build, sketching strategy from initial blueprints to core electrical infrastructure. The team never misses on complex projects.
Known for handling big league constructions and major renovations, ensuring flawless execution, hire the Action Electrical team to bring home a win for your project. Visit actionelectrical.net.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Cantork, made in Canada, made for Canada, where extreme isn't theoretical. Find your solution at cantork.com.
This is Sports 1440, where Edmonton talks sports.
On YouTube, Facebook, and X.
Here's Jason Gregor.
Brought to you by PlayAlberta.ca.
.445. Welcome back. Jason Gregor, Connor Hanley, Sports 1440, sports1440.ca as we get to our football report brought to you by Legacy Heating and Cooling. Home to no payments, no interest for 1 year on your furnace. Goes down, you got to get a new one. Best place, legacyheating.ca. As we wrap up the NFL season, the Seattle Seahawks, for the second time in 11 years, are Super Bowl champions. And it was a dominant performance again yesterday. Maybe not as dominant as the 43-8 win they had in Super Bowl 49, but pretty good as the Patriots didn't have a point through the first three quarters. And Con, do you ever play like one of those square games where you get a square, right, with your buddies and everybody puts in $10 or $20, whatever you put in? And, you get and so we have it now. There's so many. It used to be where you just have 10 people and everybody got a number, right? And if it combined, and if you have that number of the final score, whatever, it's 29-31. If you have the 0, you win, right? I had the 0 for the Patriots. The worst. Like what? Because I knew the Patriots weren't winning that game. But then it's 0. You're like, God, this is terrible. So you're watching the game and I was just like, the only thing I was hoping for is if that somehow they get out of the quarter tied and then you'd split. Like just the worst square game, I think. Worst number I've ever had. A 0 for the team that I knew had no chance to win. Brutal. And it was pretty much, dominant start to finish. Like the Seattle Seahawks, I saw a stat. They trailed for a grand total of like 1 minute and 40 seconds in the entire playoffs. Like they were dominant, as Farhan Lalji from TSN joins us. And Farhan, start to finish, man, this year, the Seattle Seahawks, they've deserved it. They were clearly the best team in the playoffs and really showed no sign of ever really being in trouble.
Yeah, for sure. A couple of players I talked to in the week leading up to it said, look, the hardest game for us is the NFC Championship, right? Like, once you get to the Super Bowl, you kind of feel like a level of pressure is off you. But when you look at their schedule and what they had to go through this year, especially to get through a historically good NFC West with 12-win teams, it was a pretty impressive accomplishment. Then you talked about the playoffs and, the fact that they only trailed for a minute 40, as you mentioned, but they also became the first team ever to go through a playoff run without a single turnover. And for Sam Darnold, who had 20 during the season, to go through the playoffs like that spoke volumes. But the defense has been this good from start to finish. And Jason, I don't know if I talked to you about this, but I've talked to other people around the country, other stations, and I said coming into the year that they weren't getting enough talk because of how good I was expecting their defense to be. And wow, I mean, they didn't put up as many points as that team 11 years ago, but defensively, this was just as dominant a performance because all that stuff the Patriots did in the fourth quarter, pure empty calories, right?
Yeah.
It was 79 yards of offense after 3 quarters. That game was over.
Yeah, it was over, really. Like they never really seemed to be in trouble in that game at all, did Seattle. And they're like, you know what? The strength of schedule kind of showed itself. I just think Seattle was a better team anyway, but I will say the one thing, I hadn't seen a D line really dominate an offensive line like that throughout the entire game. Like they had some bull rushes farhand that you just don't see very often. And I know it was a young offensive line, especially on the right side, and that bodes well for the Patriots, but my goodness, they were overwhelmed. There's not much you can ask a second-year quarterback to do when you have so little time early on in the game.
Yeah, you're right. And, when you look at the Seattle team, they actually went out of their norm in this game because they had the 4th highest pressure rate in the league during the regular season, but they had the 5th lowest blitz rate. So they were able to get pressure with 4 and not have to bring extra. Well, in this game, especially in those first 3 drives, they brought extra. And Devin Witherspoon got home a couple of times or, at least forced some incompletions, and they were able to do it differently. And they targeted that left side, which as you mentioned, young and banged up. And they got the bull rush and they got to the edges against them. And it was a tough day, and we knew that was going to be a difficult matchup for the Patriots, and the Seahawks made sure that we were going to find out early on whether or not they could handle it, and they absolutely couldn't, right? And Drake May, other than, the odd scramble, my storyline coming into this game was not about the Darnold turnovers. It was about, can the Seahawks prevent Drake May from taking this game over with his legs on 3rd down? And outside of maybe one escape, I think he had a 16-yard rush in the 3rd quarter, there was none of that. So, they were able to rush in levels and make sure that part of the defensive line that was getting upfield was keeping an eye on that. And, he had no escape lanes. You could see it, that even he was getting a little bit intimidated. May talked about it after the game, that this was the best defense they've ever faced.
Yeah, for sure. What did you make of Walker, and what is this going to mean for negotiations?
Well, look, I think Walker played really well, and I thought he's played really well in the playoffs. So once Zach Charbonnet went down and they kind of gave him the ball and said, it's yours full time, go run with it, I think he did great. And I think the offensive line did very well in front of him. Walker is very motivated for the reason that you alluded to, right? I mean, this was his contract year. They have not made any offers to him. And when they were asking him to split carries this year with Zach Charbonnet, I think he felt they were intentionally trying to deflate his value a little bit by keeping his stats down. I don't think that's right. Like, I think the Seahawks were right for splitting carries because there are some things that Zach Charbonnet just did better, right? When you look at Kenneth Walker, he's great on the wide zone run game, and he's great at cutting back off of that. But when you look at what Charbonnet does between the tackles, which tends to be more important in the red zone, which tends to be more important on short yardage, which tends to be more important in pass protection, he can bring all of that Walker did a decent job in the playoffs, right? Like, good enough, obviously. But the Seahawks were right for how they were able to handle it. And to be honest, Walker's had a bit of an injury history, and the fact that they were able to mitigate his carries during the regular season helped in that regard. Now, from his perspective, hey, you're taking away my money. And we'll see, right? Because I can't imagine the Seahawks paying him over $8 million. And I think there's going to be somebody out there that, even though he's had statistically an average year, the fact that he was the Super Bowl MVP, the fact that he was PFF's highest rated running back, during the playoffs, I think that's going to add some value to him. So someone out there probably gives him 10. And I just don't think the Seahawks are going to do that. The interesting part for the Seahawks is that Charbonnet probably isn't going to be ready for the start of next season because he's dealing with the ACL injury and the recovery from that. So, he'll play at some point next year. Is he going to be ready for camp? I don't know. So that also potentially increases the value on Kenneth Walker. John Schneider says he wants to sign him. We'll see if there's a way to get it done. Seattle's got the 6th most cap space in the league with about $73 million to spend. We'll see how much of it they're willing to dedicate to the running back position.
There's lots of, what do you make of Seattle? How big of a loss will Kubiak be?
I think it'll be a loss, and I think that they've got some plans to fill that spot internally with some other people that have been around him a little bit before that maybe are ready to be an offensive coordinator. So, so we'll see, right? Like when I look at Kubiak, I thought he did a really good job in the playoffs, and quite frankly, so many more people are now running the Shanahan McVay West Coast offense type of setup, and I think that Kubiak is one of those. I don't know that he's necessarily as dynamic as the other two, but he certainly did a good job of taking advantage of mismatches in these playoffs. So we'll see. But I don't know that they necessarily had a top 10 offense this season because of Kubiak. Now, he did have a relationship with Sam Darnold. That did help him. But I do think there's going to be others. The one thing he did was he committed to what Mike Macdonald wanted, right? Like Mike Macdonald brought in Ryan Grubb a year ago, told him he wanted to run the ball. Ryan Grubb didn't necessarily want to run the ball. And quite frankly, they weren't a good running team in terms of their parts. It wasn't just the play calling. This year, a lot of things changed. And, the offensive line is going to stay intact, if not improve. So if they can get the right running back there, I think they can still have the basis for the same type of run game. And the rest of their offensive pieces aren't going anywhere, right? Smith and Jigba is going to be back next year. Cup's going to be back. Like all of these guys, maybe not Rashid Shaheed, but the rest of them will all be back. So I think they're going to be in a position to build off it. And whoever does wind up play calling, especially if it's internal, is going to be in a position to have success.
Farhan Lalji from TSN. Joins us. Farhan, some news in the CFL. Officially tomorrow is the start of free agency, although we've seen the negotiating window that was open, and we kind of know where lots of the players are, but not all of them. But we know where a lot of the big name ones. What about some guys that haven't been announced yet? Who are you watching?
Really not many. And part of that is because I've been to Super Bowl all week, but this is kind of the regular thing, right? Like, I mean, these guys all get assigned early. So there have been 2 hiccups, right? Where players were, announced and then wind up changing their minds and going elsewhere. So I don't think there's going to be any last second flip like that, but we'll see. There's always going to be defensive backs. Like that's kind of the day 2, day 3 action on CFL free agency. And quite honestly, we just didn't see a lot of day 2, day 3 action. So there's going to be a few guys there that are available. But there's some veteran players that might think they've got value, right? Like, where's Dom Rhymes going to go? Like there's that type of player where you want to see if there's a big market for. But really all these guys have been spoken for, and I think Edmonton did a pretty good job in a number of areas. I think Taylor Powell gives them some quarterback depth, and he could be their quarterback of the future. They got the only potential Canadian starter in Coulterwood Manzi. I think they're probably having to pay him a bit more than you would have in a different supply and demand situation. And then Malik Carney, I think, is going to be really helpful to them. And Joe Robustelli, who showed some really good flashes in his time with Saskatchewan, I think could get a bigger role in Edmonton. And I think he could be one of those contested ball guys that Cody Fajardo needs to have success. So I think Ed Hervey did a pretty good job with that group.
Yeah, you look at their, there's going to be some competition, I think, at the middle linebacking core in Edmonton next year. I think that's some internal, really good competition. What about on the D line? And obviously, Malik Carney comes in. I think that's going to give them, a big boost there. But I thought Robbie Smith, when he played, was actually pretty good. And I know he didn't play a lot, but he was a guy who was a big free agent signing that didn't necessarily pan out last year due to injury, but I kind of really like him healthy alongside the other guys they brought in.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. I think when he gets healthy, I think he can bring them, I'm not sure he's necessarily a guy that's going to take over a game, but he is a guy that is a player that you'd have to, that can be noticeable game in and game out, and you've got to make sure that you know where he is. So I think, and then I think a guy like Malik Carney makes all those guys better, right? And then you lose Jake Serezna, but Serezna wasn't productive last year, even when he was healthy, right? So we'll see what happens when he gets back to full health in Winnipeg and see what that looks like. But I do think you're right. I think a little bit of health will make that group better. I think that affected them as much as anything. But Carney's a guy that can defend the run, can rush the passer, and he's going to be the guy that everybody has to focus on offensively. He is that guy. Then once that happens, it just makes the rest of the defensive line have it that much easier.
Is when you look at what did you make of the Argos' decision to release their all-star linebacker?
In Winton McManus, to be honest, I'm not sure why it had to go the way it did, but I think early on, both sides knew there was going to be a change there and that Hamilton was going to be the likely destination. He basically lives between the two. I think we all knew that when he didn't get re-signed before the free agent negotiating window started, that it was going to wind up there. And I think Jim Barker's a guy that really believes he's got the ability to either fill internally or go out and put the right scouting group together to make sure they're able to find some guys. So I think they're comfortable with some of the guys they have waiting in the wings to play there. Where are those guys going to be Winton McManus? No, but the amount of money you have to spend to get Winton McManus, I think, becomes really difficult, right? And there's some positions that certain people just don't want to pay, right? Like they don't want to give a middle linebacker that kind of ticket. Ed Hervey's one of those guys that just isn't going to let a middle linebacker break the bank. So I think once Jim Barker got there in charge, and I think John Huffnagel as well, in a position of influence there, I think they kind of build teams without having to pay middle linebackers significant sums as well.
Farhan, if you look at the Patriots, what's your thought for next year? And obviously, they're going to have a way harder schedule. How much of a fallback do you think there's going to be for them as far as record goes?
I think they're going to miss the playoffs. Look, this is not they're a bad team. I don't think that. But look, a lot of things had to go their way for them to get to the Super Bowl. And those things aren't going to go their way again. When you look at, the injuries and the other situations around the typical powers in the AFC, from Patrick Mahomes, who should be ready by the start of the regular season in Kansas City, to, and just the fact that he's got that injury is going to make them even more committed to getting some offensive line help around him. You look at Joe Burrow and what he had to deal with. You look at Lamar Jackson with a new coaching staff there, and obviously the Buffalo Bills with Josh Allen. I just think those teams are going to be heard from a little bit more. Buffalo's obviously, that piece that they've got to get past in that division, which I don't know that they're going to get past this time around. And then you look at the rest of the division is not good. So maybe they do find a way to get in, but I don't know that the AFC East is going to have more than one playoff team next year. I just think there's too much improvement elsewhere. And so it wouldn't shock me if they took a slight step back. And then from their end as well, they were incredibly healthy throughout the year, right? And I don't know that that's going to all fall into place. It generally doesn't happen like that year after year for a lot of teams. So they could be the Washington Commanders this year, where they take a small step back. I think going forward, I like Drake May. I like Mike Vrabel. There's a lot of holes on that roster, especially on the offensive side of the ball. The two offensive linemen on the left need to get better. They need to get legitimate receiving targets. The receiving targets they have are old, right? So they've got to make sure that they're also addressing that part of the roster. If you look at a team like the Seahawks, they're the third youngest team in the league, right? I just think they're a prime candidate for regression.
Yeah, I agree with you. And to me, they just need better receivers. I'm sorry, if Diggs is your best receiver, you're not going very far. It's just a fact.
Couldn't agree more.
Yeah, they need better receivers, and that should be priority number one for sure. Farhan, thanks for this, my man. Have a great day. We'll chat with you again soon.
Jason, have a great week.
There you go. That's Farhan Lalji from TSN. Let's get to the con man and a sports 1440 update brought to you by Northgate Chevrolet Buick GMC. And right now at Northgate, stop in, say hello to Mike and the gang. And while you're there, guess what? You can look at if you want to fall in love with a vehicle. Well, you can do it this month because the Buick Envision, the 2026, you can get the all-wheel drive, 0% down, $265 bi-weekly a month payments, and that includes GST. Do it right now, northgategm.com.
The Sports 1440 update.
Ontario is making Olden claim the bronze medal earlier today in the women's ski slope style. The 24-year-old suffered crash into her second run, but came back with a score of 76.46 in her third run. That gives Canada 2 medals so far, both bronze on the ice. Canadian women's hockey team knocked out Czechia 5-1. In the win, they lost Captain Marie-Philippe Glenn in the first period, also losing Aaron Ambrose in the third. Next up for Canada is the undefeated United States. Puck drop just after noon tomorrow. In the association, a busy night with the Pistons in Charlotte. Heat host the Jazz, Bucks taking on the Magic. We've also got the Nuggets and the Cavs, Grizz, Warriors, Lakers, host the Thunder, and the Sixers in Portland. Coming up in hour 4 of the Jason Gregor Show, we'll be joined by Mark Spector of Rogers Sportsnet. and head coach of the Edmonton Oil Kings, Jason Smith. I'm Connor Halley. This has been a Sports 1440 update.
Sports 1440 in West Edmonton Mall and Wetaskiwin. CKJR is a Stingray radio station.
Download the free radio player app and listen wherever you go.
And here comes Action Electrical Service Team sprinting onto the scene. These are your first responders for any electrical emergency.
That's right. With their fleet of service vans and specialized gear, they assess, they service, and maintain electrical lighting and automation systems. They're all about rapid response.
Quick diagnostics and repairs to restore power and safety fast. Hire the Action Electrical team to bring home a win for your project. Visit actionelectrical.net.
Hey Edmonton, did you know a local Play Alberta winner scored over $500,000 on Mega Jackpots Ocean Bells? Think about the season tickets you could lock down with that kind of cash. From major casino winners every hour to jackpots worth millions and hundreds of popular games to money that stays in the province. There's
YouTube,
never been a
Facebook,
better time
X.
to sign up for Play Alberta. Download the app today to get started with casino, sports, and lottery all in one app. Must be 18 plus to play. When you gamble,
I'll be interesting to
McValue breakfast meals are $5 plus tax every day. Get a sausage McMuffin,
Jason
bagel
Gregor,
with cream cheese product, or breakfast burrito with hash brown and small coffee, all for just $5 plus taxes. Available until 11 a.m. at
Jason
Canadian
Gregor.
restaurants. Product availability varies. Prices exclude delivery.
Made for some rough roads, but it means trails are now packed and ready for action. Don't miss out on riding adventures this winter with a Ski-Doo from Riverside Honda and Ski-Doo. Work or play with new 2026 Generation 5 models with class-leading design and power. And right now, take advantage of 5.99% financing OAC. Only at Riverside Honda and Ski-Doo. 15 Inglewood Drive in St. Albert. And always at riversidehonda.com. Shop local, shop Canadian.
Hey, hon, I'm getting expressions and images to frame my hockey card collection in the man cave.
Perfect. I'll come with you and bring our wedding photos.
Jason, have a great
For
week.
Sports memorabilia and family treasures, think Expressions and Images, your local custom framer since 91. You name it, we frame it.
Great week.
Are you overwhelmed by debt and getting nonstop calls from creditors? It can feel like there's no escape. Debt doesn't have to be a life sentence. A single call can turn things around. My name is Parveen Middleton. I'm a licensed insolvency trustee at BDO right here in Edmonton. I can help you become debt-free with a solution just for you. Let's put an end to those calls from creditors together. Call 1-833-BDO-TALK or visit bdodebt.ca to discover your debt-free future.
Portions of this hour brought to you by eWell. Get your power play amped up with eWell, supplying the City of Champions and Alberta with quality electrical gear since 1975. eWell.ca is your partner in power.
Hat tricks, touchdowns, and home runs. Get it all with the Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
Just after 5 o'clock as we rock and roll our way through a Monday afternoon. How are you? Hope you had a great weekend. Lots of fun with whatever you're doing. Of course, watching some Olympics. Probably get home watching prime time tonight. Some good performances. Another medal for Canada. Megan Oldman. Some disappointment potentially on the injury front for the women in hockey, as well as pairs figure skating and more. So check it out. Love the Olympics. Always a lot of different sports that maybe you don't normally watch, but the athleticism is ridiculous. It is the Gregor Show presented by PlayAlberta.ca, and you can get in the game. Remember, Lotto Max tomorrow, $40 million. Get your tickets, PlayAlberta.ca. And while you're there, you might want to check out the Jason Gregor Show daily specials where you can a little association love tonight. So check that out at PlayAlberta.ca. 833-401-1440. 833-401-1440 is where you can get involved in the show. Text us or you can call us, as well as we get to the spec report brought to you by our good friends at GS Construction, your underground infrastructure specialists. Obviously, they do a lot to kind of underground that you don't aware of, but they also do a ton in the community and champion a lot of great causes and also a big sponsor of the Gregor Foundation. So we're very happy to have them on in multiple fronts. So thank you for your generosity at GS Construction. As Mark Spector from Rogers Sportsnet joins us once again. Spec, how you doing?
Doing pretty good. How you doing, Jake?
I am I'm excellent. Fun weekend, lots happening. Let's start with the Oilers. And like the Paul Coffey rumors don't make any sense to me. Why you're bringing back a guy that the coach and they didn't get along. Now you're going to bring him back into the fold? Like that just seems odd to me.
Well, it seems odd if I'm Chris Knobloch. It doesn't seem odd if I'm Daryl Cates. So I'll let me set the record straight. I said when this whole right before the break, there will be conversations about Paul Coffey over the break. I don't know if he comes back, if he doesn't come back, if Knobloch holds sway, if Daryl Cates says, look, you've had 60 games and 8 working, we're using my guy. But that's the way it stacks up is Daryl likes Paul and employs Paul. And for whatever reason, Chris Knobloch decided that he wasn't going to have Paul Coffey on his staff this year. And I'm not criticizing anyone. That's just the way it went down. So after 60 games, there's, the fact that we're talking about Paul Coffey means that probably some things on the blue line haven't gone so good. And I think that's fair. And like I say, I'm sure there's been conversation about it. I have not dug in. I've not found out, the break has barely started here. Guys are all in Mexico. I haven't figured out if it's going to happen yet. But that's, I think, where we are right now. I'm sure they're talking about it. How about that?
Yeah, I guess you talk about it. I just think it's a wasted conversation. Like even when Paul was here, the Oilers had stretches where their penalty kill was terrible. They had stretches where their defensive play was terrible. To me, we can change coaches all they want and say, get rid of the goalie. That's going to solve all the problems. Well, they got rid of the goalie. And guess what? The problems aren't solved. So if Daryl Cates is the one headman in the conversations, then it illustrates. I don't think that that's the best guy to head it because he hasn't been paying attention to what the issue is. The Oilers aren't playing up to their potential, full stop. I don't think he can just, if we bring in one other voice, a voice that was already here, and I'm not saying Paul Coffey's the right or wrong voice, but when he was here, the same issues occurred in the regular season. This is not new for this group, which to me, that's the issue here. This team, for whatever reason, year in, year out, finds ways to make their path to the playoffs more difficult than it should be.
Well, I guess I break it down individually. I'd say to you that Darnell Nurse has had better seasons, right? Better seasons when Paul Coffey was directing them a little bit. Paul Coffey's not bringing Brett Kulak back, right? There's no doubt about that. Evan Bouchard's playing just fine. No one's got a problem with Evan Bouchard's game, and so is Echo. So, what are we bringing Paul Coffey back for? To coach whom, right? He's never coached Spencer Sassney before, so we don't know if that makes a difference. Emberson's playing okay. But as a group, defensively, their team, they're not getting the job done. Now we're talking as much about the forwards, I think, as we are about the defense core. And does Paul Coffey affect how the forwards play defensively? I don't know, probably to some extent, but I'm not so sure about that. I guess my point would be it might not be a defensive coaching problem. It might be a defenseman, the roster. It might be the guys you got in the roster. Maybe you don't have enough defensemen that can play on this team.
Yeah, I don't know if it's just the defense. I don't see Stastny making terrible decisions on a nightly basis, but I think Ty Emberson's playing better this year than he played last year. Now Ekholm's had a rough little start after an injury. I think he's played pretty well. Bouchard overall, I know people they focus on one or two glaring errors and kind of miss all the other things. I think Darnell Nurse has not had a great season at all, to be honest. I think Jake Wallman has not got up to speed yet either. But I don't think their defense core is noticeably weaker. I think just as a team, I look at some of the they get behind early. They got some bad giveaways at places on the ice that you shouldn't be giving. Like, there's certain areas of the ice. Anybody who coaches hockey or plays hockey knows there's certain areas of the ice where if you have turnovers there, it leads to odd man rushes and increases the chances of giving up goals against. It just does. And it doesn't matter which the team is. Like, turnovers at the offensive blue line, when you're all going one direction, you turn it over and now the team's coming the other, it's an odd man rush, right? And odd man rushes, that's where you get a lot of chances. So I think the Oilers, when they get back here, which is next, Wednesday, I think, for the first practice. And then they have and that's, I think, later in the afternoon. So it's optional. So who even knows who's going to be there? But to me, I look at the Oilers and it's just Leon Draisaitl said everything correctly. They got a lot of players who need to be better. Do the coaches need to be better? Yes. I think we talked about this last week. I think there's some areas of their game that I would look at. I think adding somebody in the room where there's clear friction just adds to more dysfunction. You don't need to start taking pages out of the Rangers and the Canucks book, because that's what they do, and look where it's got them. So I would avoid that. If you want to bring in another coach spec, because they didn't really replace Paul Coffey, I could listen to that argument all day long, and I think there might be some validity to it. But then I would look at an experienced coach who's different than Paul Coffey. And not that Coffey's bad, but you made the decision to not have him there. I think you're cutting off your coach at the knees if you bring him back. You might as well just fire the coach then.
Well, when we started this conversation, then that's exactly how it started. Is who holds sway here? Daryl Cates is an excellent owner in this way. Like, let's compare him to Aquilini in Vancouver. Aquilini's got his fingers in the pie all the time, right? He's directing stuff. He's telling people who to get in for agency. He's a tough, rough owner, and the record of that team and the functionality of that team derives from the fact that their owner is really difficult. Cates is more removed, and there's always been a level of, like, for instance, Jeff Jackson, it used to be Bob Nicholson. Now it's Jeff Jackson is kind of he's the buffer between Cates and the hockey people. And Cates isn't walking in the door and telling Chris Knobloch who to play and who to hire and how to do things. And he's not phoning Bowman and saying, this is the free agent we should get. The minute your owner starts that, your team it's murder on your team. You know this, Jay. You got an owner that's got his fingers in the pie every day. You can't win because they're owners. They're not hockey people. So Cates is a good owner because he spends every dollar that needs to get spent. And even though he probably makes the odd phone call, he stays out of things. But Paul Coffey's his guy. And he said, okay, Paul Coffey's not going to be part of this team this year. I'll live with that. And now we're 60 games in. And again, we've just gone through, this team can't figure out its defensive game. And here's the owner saying, well, geez, I got a guy here that we thought was pretty good defensive coach. So that's why the conversations are going to happen. I don't know how they're going to end.
Yeah. Here's the way. Like, if you're making the change, you'd have to announce it here soon. I guess maybe they'd wait until the day before practice. To me, that wouldn't be smart. I'd do it right now to try to get it. You know what? I'd announce it, Spec? I'd announce, if I was making the change, I'd announce it Thursday morning at 8:30. Yeah. That's when I would do it, because that's 10 minutes before Team Canada's first game. And once the game's on, people are, you know what? You want to hide it, because it would not be a great decision of mine. And that's why I'd be stunned if the Oilers remove a coach. Could they add one? I think there's a chance. Do I think it's Paul Coffey? I think there's a very low chance. That would be a very odd decision for me.
I agree. I don't give it a lot of legs. But like I said, when this whole thing started, and then let's move on, it is a topic of conversation inside the Oilers organization. They may have had the conversation. It may have ended already, Jay. But over this break, Paul Coffey's name's been coming up in some offices here.
Canada had their first practice line. Tom Wilson with Celebrini and Connor McDavid. You had McKinnon, his own line. Crosby, his own line. Oh, the three centers chalk me up as somebody who thinks that's a fantastic idea, because it should happen in Edmonton too.
Yeah. Hey, how are you going to defend those three centers coming over the boards at you, right? I mean, I guess I'd say this to you, Jay. I would identify, if I'm Team Canada, the thing I know we have the best of is depth. Now, maybe not over the U.S. U.S. is really good too. It's a bit of a toss-up. But generally speaking, in every team in the world, including Sweden and Finland and Czechs and the other good countries, we're deeper. So I think what they're doing, spreading their centerman out, is exactly that. They're taking advantage of their strong suit. Nobody else has 3 centers like that. Not the USA, not anybody. So why turn one into a winger? So I think it's a great idea too.
Yeah. Now here's the thing. I think the how long these lines last spec will likely be one game. And because A, you've got 14 forwards, and I think they're all going to get in at some point.
Yep.
And B, we saw in the Four Nations, right? Like, not all the lines are going to score right away. They're just not. So I'm sure he'll move things around. And I think the right wing spot on McDavid's wing is the one that's open. I think Celebrini and McDavid will get a little bit of a look.
Yeah, and I think the right wing spot, we'll see how Wilson fits in there. We'll see how it works for him. I mean, I don't mind Bennett in that spot, I'll tell you what. So, the beauty of the Olympics is it's a longer tournament than the Four Nations. So you do have a couple games here to try some lines out and try a few things. And then hopefully when you get to the medal round, you know what you like, you know what's working, what isn't. I mean, even in Four Nations, Mitch Marner and Connor McDavid didn't work great together until Mitch Marner set Connor McDavid up for the tournament winning goal. So sometimes it takes a while to get going, is what I'm saying. And I think you have enough time in the Olympics here. You have more time anyway. You have more time to fiddle around with your lines and figure out what works.
Yeah. When you'll move it, and it's probably easier maybe against a team that you're dominating, which might happen in games 2 or 3. I think the Czechia game, I wouldn't overlook it at all. And I'm curious, do you think it's automatically Binnington to start game 1?
Well, I mean, listen, I'm sitting over here across the pond, just like you, looking at reading the reports. He had his own net at practice. That's all we got. I think that's what tells you. I know Cooper hasn't said anything yet that I've heard who's starting, but I'm going to say to you that the spirit of this team, Jay, they've really taken pretty much their exact Four Nations team, and they're really respectful of the guys that played on that team and the guys that made that team win. And that to me smells very much like the first start of the tournament goes to Jordan Binnington, because he was the incumbent coming out of that tournament. They're going to have to play the other guys too. And the season Binnington's had, it has to be an open competition there. You can't just hand the reins to a guy who's had as bad a season as Jordan Binnington's had in St. Louis. But he gets the first start. That's okay. Someone's got to have the first start. I don't mind it being Binnington. And, again, at least there's enough starts that when we get to the games that really count, hopefully we know who our number 1 is here.
Yes, and they'll probably rotate through it a little bit. Woodley had a really good breakdown of some of the stats that he looked at. And one concern he had, the one concern he had with Binnington was Binnington really made a name for himself making high danger key saves, especially in overtime. Right? That's what really won the game. He made some huge high danger saves.
Yep.
Well, guess what? In St. Louis this year, he hasn't made very many of them. That's been one of his biggest weaknesses. Now, the one thing, even if his numbers are terrible in St. Louis, he hasn't allowed bad goals in St. Louis this year. He hasn't made the big high danger saves, but he hasn't allowed bad goals. So maybe that's the one thing. But he talked about it like stolen games in the regular season this year. Thompson had 2 and he had 9 great games. Kemper had 2 stolen and he had 5 great games. Binnington's had no stolen games and he's had 4 great games. So if you base it on that, Thompson's the guy. But something tells me, based on all the players they picked and everything else, and Team Canada's history, you look at even the women's team. They went with an older team, slower team. And you know what? The U.S. has pounded them all year long.
Let's see.
I think it's going to be Binnington starting game 1. I'll be stunned if it isn't.
Did you see the hit on Poulet in the women's game?
Yeah, she went for the puck. And, they kind of allowed that. Right?
Nothing wrong with the hit.
Yeah, they allow that. And, it didn't, it's unfortunate for her. It didn't look like it. It's weird that when I saw it and I watched it again, it's kind of weird that it was, her leg, because I thought it might have been a shoulder, but the way she was going off. And now actually that I see the replay, it looks like it's a right leg a little bit kind of bends. So yeah, that's, that if she's out, Like, she is the best
She's their
big
close
woman
player.
player on Canada. It's not even close. Like, that would be brutal. Now, if she misses tomorrow, whatever, right? Because tomorrow's not like, obviously you want to win tomorrow, but it's not the game that decides the gold or the silver. But, you know, even if she's like banged up spec and can play, but you know what I mean? Like, can dress but can't play. Like, Canada has been getting spanked by the US here leading into this tournament. That it won't be good if she can't go.
No, she's important for them. I mean, there was no penalty on that play today. And having watched again, and, you know, I watched their game against the Swiss, or a whole bunch of it, and a bunch of the game today. And I always feel like the women want to hit more. You know, there was a hit in the Swiss game that Canada, maybe it was, I forget which game, but it was it was just someone squeezing someone off at the boards, and they caught a little shoulder, and they sealed their opponent, and they took the puck. I thought that's exactly how hockey is played, and they got called for some kind of body check hit. I don't know what they called it, but I feel like women want to hit, and I feel like, what are they doing with these? I don't get the rules. I know you're not allowed to have like straight on.
Yes, that's basically what it is.
Right?
If your skates are facing the same direction, and that's what happened there. If you go back and watch that play, the Czech player comes in at like a perfect angle to angle. No,
that's
she was
a good hit.
Yeah, a little bit off. Oh, yeah, it is that to me is a body check, really, because she was off the boards, but the angling looks like it's contact because she angles and goes into the hands, takes the puck away. Obviously, there was contact on the shoulder. Those are usually allowed in the women's game. It's in the middle of the ice that they don't allow it, right? Yeah. And you can make an argument that, okay, that's fine. But yeah, I've talked to a lot of other women. But the rules have, over time, really loosened on what they deem body checking over body contact. Body contact is allowed, right? Body checking is not.
I guess. Listen, they're good at hockey. They can all skate. They're all big and strong, and a little bit of contact's not going to hurt anybody, man. So I'm not here to remake the women's game on our show, Jay, but you know, so I just feel like the way I watch them play, it looks like they want to have more body contact. And somehow there's a penalty every second hit I watch in that sport. And I just, you know what? Let them play, man. It's hockey. Let them play. Should be some body contact.
Spec, we will chat with you tomorrow. Have a good one.
Sounds good, Jake.
So Spec Report brought to you by GS Construction. Will return the man many of you knew as a nickname Gator, the head coach of the Oil Kings, Jason Smith. Up next, it's the Jason Gregor Show, Sports 1440, sports1440.ca.
Action Electrical Solar Team is now making a play for sustainability and savings. They're specialists in powering up for a greener future.
That's the strategy. Designing and installing high-efficiency solar panels. They're helping homes and businesses combat rising utility costs by harnessing the power of the sun.
A smart move for efficiency and the environment. Hire the Action Electrical team to bring home a win for your project. Visit actionelectrical.net.
Need a new ride for road trips, errands, or just life on the go? Go Auto offers a massive selection with over 15,000 new and used vehicles to choose from. With over 70 locations across Western Canada, finding your next ride has never been easier. Whether it's a roomy SUV for the family, a sleek car for the open road, or a rugged truck for your weekend adventures, you'll find it here at a price you'll love. Explore thousands of vehicles today at goauto.ca.
Jason Gregor isn't just a sports guy. He's a community builder with over $3 million raised for local charities. And his Gregor Foundation, he's making a difference on and off the air. Check out Gregor weekday afternoons on Sports 1440.
These days, it's all about who you know. And that's why it's the perfect time to save at the Bricks Friends and Family Sale. Upgrade your living room in time for the big game and score free delivery on TVs over 50 inches. Like a Samsung 85-inch 4K smart TV for just $999. And save up to $1,200 off sofas and sectionals. And mix and match. Save up to $1,000 off 2 or more major appliances. Some exclusions apply. Check out the Brick in Edmonton South Common, West Edmonton Mall, North Side on 137, and downtown near the Ice District.
Summit Restaurant, located in the heart of the Silent Ice Center and just minutes from South Edmonton Common. Summit is your destination for exceptional house-made pizza, delicious entrees, and expertly crafted cocktails. Experience the perfect blend of flavor and ambiance in a modern setting. Join us for a straightforward yet elevated dining experience where our commitment to quality speaks to every bite and sip. Make Summit Restaurant your next night on the town.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Riverside Honda, 59 years and counting as St. Albert and surrounding areas' premier Honda and Can-Am dealer. It's your dream. Ride it at riversidehonda.com.
The Jason Gregor Show, the best of Edmonton sports talk and beyond. This is Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
At 28, we roll through on a Monday afternoon. Make your way home. Be sure to turn your lights on, boys and girls. Ladies and gentlemen, this Gregor Show is always brought to you by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website where 100% of the revenue stays right here in the lovely province of Alberta. PlayAlberta.ca. The hockey world, while many of you are waiting, guess what? It's not on hold. There's lots of junior hockey going on. Of course, the WHL continues to roll. And speaking of rolling, not many teams are rolling better than the Edmonton Oil Kings this season. 34 wins in 50 games. They are 34-11-3-2. And in a battle for Medicine Hat, with Medicine Hat, a game in hand, 5 points back of them for first place, which would be the number 2 seed in the Eastern Conference. And with PA pulling away, it looks like almost on a collision course maybe to meet in the second round of the WHL playoffs. We'll see. We'll be joined now by the head coach of the Oil Kings. We get to the Oil King Report, brought to you by Go Auto. If you're looking for vehicles, no better place to stop. GoAuto.ca. Over 15,000 vehicles to choose from. They got 71 different locations. So cars, trucks, SUVs, you name it, they got it. GoAuto.ca. As Jason Smith, the head coach of the Oil Kings, joins us. Jason, welcome back to the show, man. How you doing?
Very good. Thanks for having me.
As the season goes along as a coach, everybody always says, hey, you know what? You want your team playing their best hockey later in the year. Now you're kind of entering that final, stage of the season. I think you guys got 11, 12 games remaining in the year. Where are you at now? I guess let's start with the health of your team and how much health can impact the lineup that you want.
Oh, we've got some guys out and some of our better players, but I think something we've talked about all year as a group is how deep our group is. And I think going forward, like we've tried to play as many guys as we can and play 4 lines as long as we can, throughout the season. And, our group is, we're in a good spot. I think our players are excited about where we can go as a group, and us as a staff are excited about the depth we have. And even though we've got some real good players that are out hurt, we still have a good group.
Now, those guys that are injured, Jason, are you expecting them back before the playoffs?
Well, I think it's unknown on a few of the guys, and a few of the guys we have a better idea that, they'll get back in time to be ready for the playoffs. And, I think that's a part of, being a good team and a good group, is that you got guys that can fill in and accept opportunity and the challenge of expanded roles, and that's about being a team that can play and compete and give yourself a chance no matter who's in the lineup.
Now, who are you hopeful or expecting that will be back before the playoffs that isn't playing right now?
Good question. Well, you know what? I think, the injury part of it and the guys being out and hurt, hopefully we'll get some guys back. And to get into names and discussion, I'm not going to really do that. I think, that's part of the process of, we've got guys on out day to day, and we've got guys that are out longer term. And I think, it's just a matter of, sorting that out. And when we get back to, playing and getting through it and going day to day, we'll be fine. I think our group is deep. I think we're excited as coaches about our group, and we'll see where it all leads.
Well, with the injuries, you can still score. You put up 11 goals yesterday against the Moosaw team that had beaten you earlier, right? So I don't know if there was revenge there or not, but give me your thoughts. Since he came over in the trade, Carter Sotherend had a hat trick, a 5-point game for defenseman, this weekend, and just kind of how he's rounded in and fit into your team now that you've had him for a few weeks.
Well, Carter's he's a veteran guy in this league. He's got experience, and I think he was a real good piece for us to add. Obviously, leading into the deadline in the league here, I think he's played a lot of playoff games. He's got experience. He's got the ability to create offense, but also he's a stable defender and a good defender in this league that gives us an opportunity to have him on the ice in a lot of different situations. And when you've got a guy that can shoot the puck and has poise and with the puck as he does, he's been a great addition for us.
The overall kind of with the injuries to your team, you've kind of had to move some guys around. Have you found some new combinations because of this that maybe have intrigued you to say, hey, these are some guys now that I want to keep together moving forward?
Yeah, no, I mean, I think anytime you have injuries, you kind of look for the right mix of skill and energy and detail in the game that can help your group. And I think we've been shuffling the lines around a little bit and giving guys different opportunities in different spots to give them an opportunity to try to excel and see where they can go. And I think it's a real fun part of coaching and a part of really learning about your group is, seeing who can accept a challenge and a little more pressure and a little more, primetime situation. And if guys can accept that and learn from it and grow from it, then, you're making progress as a group, not just developing, players, but you're giving kids an opportunity to grow their game and, take another step.
Jason Smith, head coach of the Edmonton Oil Kings, joins us. Jason, your penalty kill third best in the league this year. What have you liked about the PK?
Well, I think a lot of the PK comes down to just stick details and obviously a will to block shots and competitiveness. I think, we've got some guys that have really bought into, kind of that role and that adding that niche to their game. We've got some guys that are, skilled players that create offense that are also killing penalties. And when you can have your skilled guys out there in a situation to kill penalties, a lot of them have an idea what players are thinking about and wanting to do on the power play and the options they may have. And our guys are, working at it and growing and getting better at it. And I think anytime your special teams are giving you opportunities to either keep goals out of your net or you're scoring goals in the power play, it's great for your team.
You are the third highest scoring team in the league. You can really score 5-on-5. Your power play, is kind of well below a lot of the top teams in the league. It kind of doesn't make sense when I look at the skill on your lineup. What's kind of been lacking in your power play this year? Like, it's not terrible. It's 14th, but considering you're the third highest scoring team.
Yeah, no, I think there's been times where we've turned down a lot of opportunities to shoot the puck and just create those second and third opportunities. I think 5-on-5, we get the puck to the net. We have men at the net, and we're finding second and third opportunities. And sometimes on the power play, I think we've looked for, maybe the perfect play when, sometimes it's just about getting the puck to the net and capitalizing on that second or third opportunity. I think a lot of goals are scored by, rebounds and loose pucks around the net on the power play. And we've been trending the right way on our power play lately just by putting more pucks at the net and getting traffic to the net. And I think that'll continue to go the right way. And our guys are excited about, where we're at right now.
You take on Everett. They don't come to town very often, but of course they come in. They've got the most points in the WHL right now, 41 wins in 50 games. It'll be a great test. And I know as a former player, you always get excited when you face a top team and your team knows about it. When you watch Everett, what do you have to be leery of facing them on Wednesday night?
Well, they're a team that obviously competes hard and competes, for 60 minutes. I think we need to be prepared to be detailed with the puck, especially at the O-zone blue line and at the blue line in our end. When you have an opportunity to get the puck out of our zone and relieve a little bit of pressure, it's not always about making a great play to go down and attack in the offensive zone and create an opportunity. Sometimes it's about relieving pressure and maybe getting some fresh guys on the ice. And then in the O-zone, they're a team that competes. We need to make sure we're prepared to box out and battle and keep them away from our net. We need to kill plays quickly. And I mean, our team is at our best when we defend hard and defend quick and transition the puck and get moving to the O-zone. And our group is skilled and can score and create offense. Like you said earlier, 5-on-5, we're one of the highest scoring teams in the league, and our guys can put the puck in the net when given opportunity.
Well, Jason, continued success. Enjoy the game on Wednesday, the stretch run, and hopefully get some guys healthy here soon.
For sure. Thank you for having me. Take care.
Jason Smith, head coach of the Edmonton Oil Kings. We'll take a quick break, come back, and wrap things up on a busy Monday afternoon here on The Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
Mr. Rooter gets a colonoscopy. All right, Mr. Rooter, just relax. We're almost finished.
Now, what am I looking at on the screen?
That's your large intestine.
Wow. The pipes of the human body. Incredible. This is just like when we use a camera for sewer inspection, except you probably don't find tree roots.
You'd be surprised what we find.
Once I found a bunch of Hot Wheels.
Hey, me too.
For a plumber who values healthy pipes, call Mr. Rooter. A huge thank you for making Sports 1440 the most listened to sports radio station in Edmonton. From Gregor to Carius to Low Tide, we've got in-depth analysis on all your favorite sports. We are Sports 1440.
McValue breakfast meals are $5 plus tax every day. Get a sausage McMuffin, bagel with cream cheese product, or breakfast burrito with hash brown and small coffee, all for just $5 plus taxes. Available until 11 a.m. at Canadian restaurants. Product availability varies. Prices exclude delivery.
Out on the rocks, the party never stops.
Check it out.
Mondays, bingo tunes.
Tuesdays, tacos and tequila.
Wednesdays, it's wings and karaoke.
Shake what your mama gave ya with salsa lessons on Thursdays and the best Latin DJs.
Plus, live music every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, along with DJ Kenny K.
Hold on, let's not forget $5 happy hour, 7 days a week.
Your bar, your party. You're on the rocks.
On the rocks.
Jazz Brab and 118th.
Well, get ready for a silly hockey fans. Your partner in power just skated onto the ice.
EWEL.ca, the new e-commerce website for electrical wholesalers Edmonton, is ready for the power play 24/7, 365.
UL skates to where the puck will be in 5 years. Now that's forward thinking.
Killer selection, slamming products from the best brands, and legendary service.
Don't sit on the bench. Get your account today at EWEL.ca and win that project.
Plug into your partner in power. Get an EWEL.ca account today.
Scott McGilvery here, HGTV host and renovation expert. The one upgrade I know homeowners will love: better, fresher Culligan water straight from the tap. Culligan's Aquasential reverse osmosis filtration system takes your water to the next level. With up to 7 stages of filtration and 14 filter options, they're certified to reduce over 90 contaminants. Your tap water is about to get a major upgrade. Safer water that tastes great. Get started with a free in-home water test at Culligan.com. Culligan, water you love.
Hey, sports fans, we've got a clear choice for you. At Crystal Glass, we provide customers with the perfect glass for any job. From home to auto and even commercial, installation or repairs, we're your team. Call 310 Glass or visit crystalglass.ca. Crystal Glass.
Portions of this hour brought to you by On the Rocks. The Oilers are back in action, and OTR is ready to be your hockey headquarters. $5.75 Molson Canadian, 69-cent wings, and play, score, and win every game. See more at OnTheRocksYEG.com.
The Jason Gregor Show, the best of Edmonton sports talk and beyond. This is Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
$5:42 as we make our way through Monday afternoon. Quite a few texts coming in. 833-401-1440. 833-401-1440. Can always text us, email us. Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca. Hey, Gregs, I miss it. When is Canada's first game in hockey? Getting the itch. Thursday for the men. The Canadian women, though, are taking on USA tomorrow at 12:10 Mountain Standard Time. We will find out probably early tomorrow morning whether or not Poulin will be in the lineup for Canada. She left the game with an injury, as did Ambrose. So both of them might be out. Did not look great for Marie-Philippe Poulin. Collision along the boards, and looks like then she was ailing as she left the bench. She'd come back for one brief shift, but obviously did not play in the final 2 periods of that game. And we'll see where she goes. Canada was in tough to begin with against the U.S. If she's out, that's going to make the journey even harder. Now, it doesn't mean it's impossible. It's one game, baby. Now, winning, losing tomorrow, sure, it'd be nice, but that's not the game you want to win. You'd like to win every game, but the game you want to win, of course, is the gold medal game. You lose in the round robin. Just ask USA and 4 Nations, or at the Olympics a few times. Which game do you want to win? Ultimately, you want to win the gold medal game. Hey, guys, I don't get it. Why pick Binnington in the first place, let alone give him the starter's net? Thompson has earned it with 2 years body of work from Delta Golf. Well, it's hard to argue with that mindset. I know that Team Canada is going to look and say Binnington won us 4 Nations. Now, did he win the whole thing? No, but he played very well in overtime. Yes. Was he great? Was he needed in the other games? No, but he was the goalie. And I'm going to guess they're very loyal, and that's what they'll go with. I think that there are some people in that organization who, because they had Thompson in the past, and Thompson in the past wasn't the most mature human being. He made some mistakes as a young guy in the league. That's a fact, but you got to let that go. Like what happened 3-4 years ago to me is completely irrelevant for a player. What have they done now? How's he performed lately? Right? How's he acted off the ice lately? That to me is what matters. And he's done very well. So I would look at that and say, hey, I think they're going to give Binnington the first, but he better not get every game. That would be very odd to me. I don't think if you want to give him the first game, fine. Now, depending how the games go, even if he gives up a low number of goals, how many key saves is he making? How many times was he called upon to make a save? That to me is going to be the big question mark for Canada. Hey, Greggs, I love that you talked about the Oilers briefly in Paul Coffey. I'm with you. I don't think bringing him back makes much sense. And I love Paul Coffey. If you bring him back, then you can't have the head coach. I don't think both work. And that's true, right? Like Paul Coffey's in the organization and, has some say. And if you wanted to bring him back as a coach, I'd have no issue with that. I don't think you can bring him back and put him on the head coaching's staff who had made a decision that they didn't want him there. Right? That to me would be starting you on the path of uncomfortable, not necessarily on the same page, a little bit of dysfunction. And is coaching the reason the Oilers are sitting where they're at right now? Not the main, because I actually don't think there's one main reason the Oilers are where they are today, which has them, they're not in an awful spot. I think we should probably clear that up. It's not an awful spot. They're in 6th place. And really, Utah and them have the same amount of points. So They're 4 points back of Vegas. Vegas has a game in hand. So worst case scenario, they're 6 points back. And they were, tied 2 games ago, but then they lost 2 and Vegas won 2. That's how quickly it changes. So the Oilers, when they come out of this break, they have a very favorable overall schedule for the Edmonton Oilers. They come out and they do play 3 games in the first 4 days, but they'll be rested. And it's actually 3 and 3.5 because it's an afternoon game in San Jose. They play in Anaheim on Wednesday, LA on Thursday, San Jose on the Saturday. No real big travel, right? You're going to stay at the same hotel when you play in Anaheim and LA usually, and you just bus to the other one. That's normally what the team does. So that makes sense. Then they'll, then you jet out to San Jose, which is a very small trip. So that's 3 games in 4 days. Then they have 2 days off. They play a game. They have 2 days off. And then their next game comes after the trade deadline because the trade deadline is Friday, March 6th, 1 o'clock Edmonton time. They play Carolina that night. Then the Oilers, they have a stretch of 3 and 4 where they play Colorado, Dallas, and St. Louis, right, on the road. Then they got a 4-game homestand, 2 days off. They're on the road for a short 2 days, no back-to-backs. Then they're home for 4 games again. Then they're on the road for 2, but they have 2 days off. Then they play Utah, San Jose, 2 days off in LA. So lots of rest again. They only have 7 games in the month of April, and they only have 14 games in 31 days in March, right? As I mentioned, in March, they have the 1 set of back-to-back games, and that's Dallas and St. Louis. That's a pretty favorable schedule. And you look, so Anaheim, LA, teams below them in the standings. San Jose, below them in the standings. Ottawa, below. So the only teams ahead of them, Carolina, Vegas, Colorado, Dallas. That's a 4-game stretch of those teams. Tampa Bay's ahead of them. That's 5. Vegas again, that's 6. Vegas again, that's 7. Colorado, 8. So 8 of their final 25 games are against teams above them in the standings. They have, out of 25 games, they got 4, 6, 10, 12 at home, right? 13 on the road. So home and away, fairly even. As I mentioned, only 3 sets of back-to-back, but that third set of back-to-back, you have 2 days off before and 2 days off after. So, that's a stretch of 2 games in 6 days. They do not have a tough schedule. So can they take advantage of it? We'll see. That's what will make it entertaining. They got 4 games between now and the trade deadline. And that's really the big news. When I look at it, I think a winger would be nice, top 6 winger. And if you could get a second pair right defenseman, that would be great. But if you do that, then you've got to ship out one of your lefties. Because, Ekholm, Nurse, Wallman, Stastny, probably too much. So it'd be a luxury to have Stastny as your number 7. I just don't know if they, cap-wise, I just don't know if it works, to be honest. So that'll be the challenge, no question. Hey guys, I wasn't seeing they need a new coach, but they need some coaching changes. Never seen a hockey net front so poorly defended as the stick-waving passive Oilers defenseman. I understand they're going for puck movers, but it's not always effective. One might argue it's good enough for first or second place, but is it for the ultimate prize? Winchester. Well, but those defensemen are the same D-men you've had. Ekholm, Nurse, Wallman, Bouchard, right? Emberson was here last year. The only new guy is Stastny. Is he that significantly less physical than Brett Kulak? I don't know. I do think that at times Canada, yes, I'd like to see. But you got Darnell Nurse at times in front of the net. He's a big, strong guy. And I don't think he's been, hey, Darnell, don't use your size or your strength in front of the net. I don't know any system that would suggest that. So to me, that's a player decision at times, and it's a willingness to want to engage in the key areas of the ice, right? That's the key. There are certain areas of the ice that are just simply more important than others, right? Front of the net is definitely one of them. That's where the majority of goals come from. So you got to win battles there. No question about it. That's an area that you have to win battles for sure. Lastly, when we look at the upcoming men's tournament. And, if you missed it, Leon Draisaitl, no surprise, he was named captain for Team Germany. Obviously, a huge honor for him. He was the flag bearer, one of their flag bearers as well. So he's had he talked with a lot of pride about how important this is for him to represent his country at the Olympics for the first time. And German hockey, this is easily the best German hockey team they've ever had, right? So there's no question about that. But I look at the upcoming games, and I wouldn't sleep on Czechia. They're never an easy out. And I think Team Switzerland, Connor Halley, might be a team that could surprise. Just saying, could surprise. So
how come?
Well, because they've been good at the World Championships the last 2 times, silver medals both times, right? And those, when I say surprise, to me, a surprise is if they got the bronze, right? Like, I don't see them as a gold or silver medal team, but as a bronze team. And they got a lot of passion. They play they all know the WIHF rules very well. That could be a benefit for them, but they've excelled in these tournaments. Now, I understand that the World Championship doesn't have the best players. So that's why I'm not expecting them to be in the gold medal game. And realistically, do I think they could be in the bronze? No, but would I be stunned if they ended up being the 3-6 and maybe surprise someone in the quarterfinals in a 1 game off? That's where I'm saying I wouldn't be overly shocked by it, is all I'm saying. So that could be that would just be a team to me to watch. Same with Germany. I think Germany is a team to look out for, Cons. I'm
with you on that one.
I don't think they'll beat the U.S., but I think they might give them a little bit of a run. That'd be unreal, though. I can tell you. Like, first of all, Oiler fans, you're cheering for Canada #1, but a lot of Oiler fans will be rooting for Germany against the U.S. for sure. No question about it. Tomorrow, we're going to talk about ruptured ACLs. We're going to talk about CFL free agency. Canada-U.S. in the women's game. Is Poulin playing? We'll get to all of that on a busy Tuesday. Have yourselves a wonderful evening. Turn your lights on as you drive home. Let's get to the Con Man and a Sports 1440 update brought to you by meals.loca.ca. Dinner just got a whole lot easier. You want to eat healthy? You want to eat where they bring the food right to you? Now, you can go to the Loca, pick out the food right there in store, Sherwood Park or West End, or go to meals.loca.ca and they'll deliver to you. Good night.
This is a Sports 1440 update.
Ontario's Megan Oldham claimed a bronze medal in the women's ski slopestyle event earlier today. With that, Canada now has 2 medals, both bronze on the ice. Canadian women knocking off Czechia 5-1. Tough news, though, as Captain Marie-Philip Bland left the game in the first period. They also lost Aaron Ambrose in the third.